impressive.
Welcome back, everybody, to the special New York Islanders season preview for Big Apple Hockey. And it was quite an announcement somebody made on Sunday night about a new presence in the NHL. You could just feel the disturbance in the force. Guys, I, of course, am your host, Mark Williams. Happy to be back for another season. And also joined by the man who's a tired man they see from the New York Giants, Mr. John Filkowski.
Definitely a little bit of a Metallica reference there. I guess another Metallica reference, as we could say. But yeah, the Giants have tired me. So looking forward to hockey, and we have a pretty nice episode lined up here. So hopefully we get some of the viewers in. We'll get some Islander discussion going, and to lead into that, got the man from the hockey news, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Yes, Mr. Anthony LaRocco, who's smiling ear to ear. And Anthony, before you even say anything, which impresses you more, the play of Josh Allen or the play of Mathieu Schaefer?
Schaefer's skating was actually even better than what I thought. So, but with that said, it's a preseason game. I got to go with Josh Allen because he's just Josh Allen. But yeah, no, very, very excited that the Islanders are back in action preseason, and hockey is going to be going here real soon. So I'm very excited about that. But I think there's a lot of reasons why, if you're an Islander fan, you should be positive going into the season. But with that said, as always, go Bills.
And but if I'm correct on that, though, the guy he chased down was Matvei Michkov, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
he didn't chase down
that's not a slow skater.
Yeah,
right? I mean, he's not a complete burner, but he's also not slow.
Yeah. No, and that just everything in that sequence, and then he didn't even look winded when he went back up the ice to get another shot on net. So that is where we're going right now. We are doing the Islanders season preview, and it is already something that it just, there's so much more optimism in this one as opposed to, say, the Rangers one, because the Rangers one was like, oh dear goodness, we're in for a long season. The Islanders, Anthony, what is exactly your 25-26 season expectations?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, I think a lot of the pundits are kind of have the Islanders as a bubble team, and rightfully so. I get it, but I think that there's reason to believe that they could get back into the playoffs after a year of not making it. A lot of that will depend on somehow Mathieu Schaefer acclimates. How some of the new additions with Drouin and Shabanov perform, but. And this goes for any team really, but if all the pieces fall into place just right, I think they can have success. With that said though, I kind of think their floor is a bubble team. Like, I don't think they're going to be worse than last year. And then maybe ceiling, if everything goes right, third in the Metro, but some in between. But I guess we'll find out when it all kicks off about 2 weeks from now.
And I got to tell you, this is one of the reasons why I say the Metro is such a crapshoot, because if you could tell me where all these teams, even the ones that didn't make the playoffs, are going to land, you got another thing coming. Phil, what's your expectations for the New York Islanders this season?
I mean, just like the Rangers, there's a lot of questions to ask about this team. A lot of things may have to go right for them in order to make the playoffs. Similarly to their rivals across, in Manhattan. you're going to need a bounce back year from Ilya Sorokin. You're going to need him to look more like the Vezina caliber goaltender he has in the past. You're going to need your defense to stay healthy. I don't want to ruin the rest of the show, but there are a lot of questions that I have. What are the new additions going to do? I mean, we're going to talk about a lot of this in a bit, but I think they're a bubble team that can compete for a playoff spot. And I mean, if things go right, yeah, maybe they make it. Who knows? So, I mean, I just think this Metro division is probably the biggest crapshoot that I've possibly ever seen in my life right now. Like I can only look at one team and say I think that team's making the playoffs for sure, and I think we all agree that's Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But everything outside of that, fair game. It's like playing 30-man brawl on Super Smash Brothers, and who knows who's going to come out on top.
I mean, this is such an interesting season, and the Islanders really do have the best of both worlds, because you could say it's somewhat of a rebuilding year, but there's talent on this roster. There's plenty of it. Can Patrick Waugh and in a way Mathieu Darche put it all together, get them in the playoffs, get them back in the playoffs, and
call.
oh what? Oh, okay.
I think he might have had a call.
Yeah, no, Anthony had to run off for a second. But can they actually do all this, put it all together, get this team back into the playoffs where they were 2 years ago, where they were routinely always being knocked out by the Hurricanes for the last 2 playoff appearances? Although those series were good series. So it's not like the Islanders weren't in it or anything. They just came up short. Now, as a matter of fact, the first one of those matchups, a lot of people thought they could probably upset Carolina, and they got bounced in 6. But I think when you look at this team, though, if they come up short, it's going to be looked at as a stepping stone to the next thing, because there is so much promise that's coming up from the minor leagues. And yeah, it's a transition year, as Matt's saying right here. It's a transition year. I expect Waugh to be on the hot seat as well. Darche wants to bring in his own guy, probably. I would not be surprised if that ends up being Jeff Halpern at some point. That was the guy from Carolina. Sorry, not Carolina. Tampa Bay, where Darche was, and an assistant coach that was starting to be looked at by other teams. Maybe because maybe he'll want to bring in a guy like that, because I don't think you don't need to bring in like a big name coach, sort of like what Anaheim did with Joel Quenneville. That was a time where you could bring in.
I'm with you on that. I think that, I mean, I think it was the right time to bring in someone like Quenneville and Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe not Quenneville specifically. I'm not going to get into all that stuff, but I think like a bigger and more respected and proven winner could come in and start getting the most out of the young talent on that roster. I don't think the Islanders are at that point yet.
No.
I think Matt kind of nailed it with, we could say, like a transition year. This is, for me, I would say it's a house money year. Because if they don't make the playoffs, let's just say the wheels fall off, they bottom out, and they're a draft lottery team again. Okay, they get another piece that they're going to get towards the future. Maybe they even get more than one first-round pick, because they sell off another player and the team overpays for someone like maybe a Jonathan Drouin or an Anthony Duclair at the deadline. They get a first-round pick out of it. Okay, cool. Now you go into this draft with 2 first-round picks, deep draft, you get assets. Or the converse side, everything goes right. Mathieu Schaefer looks a part of a number 1 defenseman in his first year, which would be crazy. I mean, we haven't seen many do that. He looks the part, and the offense starts to chip in a little more. The power play is improved. Tony DeAngelo is the full-time power play 1 guy there, I guess, now at this point. And they make the playoffs. And now you've established a winning culture for guys like Schaefer, for guys like Shabanov. Maybe Shabanov has a Calder caliber year. Like, who knows? If things go right for the Islanders, they could definitely be a playoff team. But I mean, we've got a lot to talk about with them, so who knows?
And a matter of fact, that is one of the questions we're going to ask in just a moment. I also can't help, Bilk, and as much as we're saying if things go right for the Islanders, well, the same thing could be true for Columbus, the Rangers, all those other Metro teams that fell short.
I said the Metro's a crapshoot.
But never mind. But on the flip side of that, is New Jersey going to have as much success? Are they going to not be healthy again?
Jonathan Kovacevic's out indefinitely. That's one of their top, I would say, maybe 4 defensemen right now. Maybe 5. Maybe he's their 5, but I mean, still a solid guy to have that he's already out. Is Dougie Hamilton going to miss time?
Yeah, I can answer that. Dougie Hamilton's going to miss time. We all know Dougie Hamilton is going to miss time. He always does. But then you look at, say, Washington. We always call them the PDO Kings on the show.
That's a team that's likely to regress a bit.
A chance to regress a lot, despite how good of a coach Spencer Carberry clearly is. Did Carolina actually make the right moves? At some point, they got to pay the piper. I'm not 100% believing that sometimes they won't have a regression. So yeah, well, they got the talent, but also does the talent gel together? That's another thing. And you look at the Islanders; they're a team that has experience. They're a team that has a lot of things that's going in their favor. Now the question is just, can they put it all together? And that's I will keep going back to it, and we will talk about it later on the show. That is where Patrick Waugh comes in. One thing I don't have on the agenda or on the rundown whatsoever, and while we're killing time, Phil, why don't we ask this question? Do you think the Islanders are going to miss Noah Dobson greatly?
That's a good question. They lack puck movers. They need a puck mover back there. Hopefully Schaefer can be that guy for them, which I think he will one day. I'm just not sure how much he can give offensively this year. But Tony DeAngelo is your real puck mover. And for all the flack that Noah Dobson caught about not being the greatest in his own zone, Tony DeAngelo is significantly worse than he is in his own zone. I'll tell you right now, we watched him as a Ranger. His game hasn't exactly changed really since he left the Rangers. The offense hasn't been there since, but the defense is still pretty much the same. It's still the same guy in his own zone, positionally, one-on-one. He's just not great in his own zone. He can move the puck. He can skate very well. He's tremendous on the power play at the point. It's a guy that can walk the line, has the ability. He has a very good shot and the ability to get it through on net. But if he's your primary puck mover, you're going to have to put him with somebody strong defensively to make up for that. Because we saw him and Brady Shea together in New York before Brady Shea really kind of nailed down the defensive part of his game in Carolina. And that pairing was a disaster. So right now, yeah, I think they're going to miss Noah Dobson to a point. I would trust him playing 22 minutes a game more than I trust DeAngelo, just because I think the defensive assignments are going to be a bit much. I mean, if you could shelter DeAngelo, then you can get better results out of him. But their defense really, again, we're going to talk about this in a little bit.
Yeah, and quite literally a little bit.
Yeah,
we're stretching a little bit for Anthony.
We're just waiting for Anthony to get back, and when we're gonna get into a deeper dive. But yeah, I do think there is there's gonna be some postpartum, if you will, with Noah Dobson, and I think that's gonna hurt them to a point. I think they can survive without him. it depends on what Mathieu, Schaefer, and Tony DeAngelo can do for this team.
And we're in agreement basically from the day of the trade when Anthony had to jump off and it was us that had to break it. And literally our interview with Thomas Hickey ended and immediately the Islanders made the trade. But not only are we in favor of the trade and what the Islanders got back, but also Montreal spending way too much on Noah Dobson, you think, right?
Yeah, I just wonder. All right. So I wonder what we're doing there, because you brought in a guy to be a puck mover, and I understand that. Like, and their defense looks good on paper, but they have a lot of guys who tend to really kind of wander a bit with the puck and are rovers, like Hudson, Dobson, Matheson's a little bit of a rover at times, even though I think he's better defensively than the other two. Again, bar's kind of low there, but not defensively. Those guys are equally as bad as each other defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Hudson, I think, is just a better puck mover. Dobson is a better shot. Hudson's not much of a shooter, although I know that people point to like his first goal where he sniped a goalie cheating off the post a bit. But offensively, I mean, Dobson had a 70-point season with the Islanders. I don't know why we're going to discount that. I really don't.
Yeah, we were trying to have the argument that Dobson was in that second tier of quality NHL defensemen. But
movers,
yeah, but you could see the regression in him last year. However, is he gonna go back to being what he was the year before? That's a great question right there.
Wait, all right, so is Dobson playing on power play 2 or is he playing on power play 1?
I think he's playing on power play. If he's playing on, he's got to be playing on power play 2. Because if it's going to be,
most teams run 4 forwards and 1 D.
Yeah,
and the D is usually the power play quarterback at the point. So where, like, for me, I just don't get why you gave up that much to go get Dobson when you had Hudson and you needed more two-way defenders than puck movers. They needed more guys like Caden Gooley than they needed guys like Dobson.
Yeah.
Unless they think that they can turn Dobson into Gooley, then I don't understand it.
And why would you want to take a 70-point defenseman and make him a, 30, 35-point defenseman? I forgot.
40 at most. I don't understand. And then you're going to pay him $9.5 million. So
that's the last component.
Yeah. And that, so what are you're Darnell nursing yourself.
Yeah.
You're overpaying a guy for one good season, and then you're going to ask him to play a completely different type of game than the one that got him that contract.
And yeah, it's one of those things that just you're looking at it and going, it's a head scratching thing. Hey, but benefits the Islanders because the two guys they got from it, Eklund and Aitchison. And Eklund, he looks like he might be just as good, if not better, than his brother. And then you have Aitchison, and I've said this from the second the Islanders drafted him. That guy is tailor-made to be a New York Islander. He wants to level everybody. The Islanders have, I think, a long lineage of defensemen that are like that love to play the body, that will absolutely lay you out, whether it's Rich Pilon, Darius Kasparaitis, even Travis Hamonic to a good extent. The guys that are physical, tough to play against, and he's going to be just one hell of an Islander for a long time. And I'm saying that right now. God, I hope I'm not wrong because I really am putting all my eggs in that basket. Hey, Phil, you want to do the first question?
Sure.
Okay. Because we've been kind of alluding to this, guys, so we're going to start with the first question in this Islanders preview, and hopefully Anthony's back by then. But you look at the 5 birdie questions when it comes to New York Islanders and their 25-26 season, and let's look at last season, where the Islanders only had 2 defensemen that played over 60, I think it was 65 games, but they had 2 in the 70s. You had Dobson that played 71, Ryan Pollock that played 74. The Islanders used 13 defensemen in their lineup. Yikes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I think that is probably most in the NHL. And at one point, if I'm correct, Phil, I think they had to replace 4 of their defensemen at one time. That's when D'Angelo and Boquist came up, and it was just a disaster for them. But the real question is, can the New York Islanders defense stay healthy?
So you have only one defenseman on the roster from last year that played 70 or more games, and that's Ryan Pollock. And that's someone himself who has had injury concerns in the past. He's on the other side of 30. He's about to turn 31. He'll turn 31 pretty much opening night, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, October 7th is opening night. So the day before opening night, he turns 31. He played 74 games last year, but only 58 the year before that. Played the full 82 in 2023, and then 56 in 21-22. And that was part of the reason why the Islanders absolutely crashed out and missed the playoffs in 21-22 with all the injuries and COVID and everything like that. But yeah, I have some concerns about this defense. I have a lot of concerns actually about this defense, and I don't like the way it looks right now. You're depending on Mathieu Schaefer to come up, and he looked great in the preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's preseason. I'm doing the same thing to temper my expectations with someone like Gabe Perreault or Dylan Rubreck or someone like that, because it's preseason. The competition jumps up big time when you start playing the real games.
Also, just to add on to that, Phil, like take for instance in that Ranger game the other night, like there were goals that Dawes let in that
Rubreck's goal wasn't a good one.
Right. He's not letting that in mid-season, and that's just Dawes, who's not that great of a goaltender.
Well, Nico Dawes is not that great. You're probably not scoring that on Jacob Markstrom unless he's having an off night.
Right. But that's why what makes the Schaefer play that we highlighted in the opening so impressive, because he's starting from the low slot. And he was able to chase down Matvei Michkov. Granted, the puck was behind him, but he was able to chase him down like that and not take a penalty.
Yeah, well, the skating stride is very impressive. That's been the thing with Mathieu Schaefer. Is his skating is impressive. Really, now you have to wonder, does he have the ability to handle the bigger NHL forwards at this level? How is his skating going to fare against full-time NHLers? We saw that on Michkov, but how is he going to be able to fare against guys that are faster than that? And I would say Michkov is definitely an above average NHL skater. But again, like I said before, he's not a burner. He's not one of the faster players in the NHL. And I'm not saying that every player is McDavid or McKinnon or Dylan Larkin or someone like that, but there are a lot of players that I can think of that are faster and better skaters than Matvei Michkov. So, that's something that you're going to have to look at. And all right. So let's just, we're jumping a little too far ahead. Yeah. We don't even know if he's going to make it yet.
Yes. Although we will talk more about Mathieu Schaefer in a moment.
Yeah. And we don't know if he's going to make it yet. We don't know what their defense is going to look like. Can Ryan Pollock stay healthy? Again, he's a guy who's missed time. Mm-hmm. Adam Pelech, as far as I am concerned, he is good to miss like 20 plus games per year. He didn't even have a goal last year. He hasn't had a goal since the 23-24 season, and he scored 1 goal that year. 1 goal. So, and you're not asking Adam Pelech to score you goals, but when you move a puck mover like Dobson, you're going to need to get some sort of points from your defense.
Yeah.
And you're going to need your defense to stay healthy. And these are two big concerns for me with the Islanders defense. I really wonder about it.
It's also difficult when you think about it too, Phil, because I mean, Pelech, who are injuries starting to catch up to him. You look at the last 3 seasons, 60 games, 58 games, 61 games. I mean, and the year before was 78 and 56. So we played basically the entire season, the 2 previous years, 56 being, of course, the shortened season. But you got to wonder if those concussions are taking a toll. And we've discussed this on our regular show about whether or not he's going to be an Islander at the end of the year if they end up selling on him. But if that's the case, hopefully Pelech is healthy, because a healthy Adam Pelech, but it could go a long way. But you look at guys like Pelech and Pollock, their ages might be, let's see, it's 31 and 30, both of them 31.
Yeah.
Phil, they got a lot of tread on those tires.
They do. They do. And there's a lot of injuries on top of that.
Like there's, I kind of made the comment of, take for instance, going back to the Rangers and Ryan Lindgren. Like he had some wear and tear, and it was like, thank you very much for your service, but you're already done and you're already spent. And as Alon's saying right here, Pelech's giving him Hamonic vibes at the tail end of his Islander career. And
yeah, man. I mean, I just looked up the game logs for Pelech. His last goal was scored on February 20th, 2024 against Pittsburgh in a 5-4 overtime win.
Yeah.
We're talking about almost a year and a half now. Actually, it's over a year and a half. Sorry. It's what? 17 months now that we're looking at?
So that's
19 months, sorry.
That's not something you want to track. Like you want something to kind of upend those numbers. And look, I as much as there's guys that are coming up in this system, I already talked about Aitchison. I liked what I saw out of Isaiah George. I thought for the most part he looked pretty good. I'm not saying he's Matthew Schaefer either right now, but he looked like a guy that could come in, give the Islanders good minutes and be a steady defenseman. I think he had that one play. I want to say it was a Max Domi goal where Max Domi just drilled him. I think it was a reverse hit, if I remember correctly. That it just didn't look good for George. But other than that, I've been impressed with what he's been able to show the Islanders and everyone that's at UBS Arena. I think he's a quality player. But continuing on with some of these, as we're gonna stretch out just a little bit more time. You look at the team right now, like Boquist, they got a good amount out of, and no more Samuel Bolduc, so people actually know the difference between him and Mat Barzal. They'll be on different teams. They got Ethan Bear that's on the roster. I think that's a PTO. They're listing Sean Day as a possibility for the New York Islanders. He's on the.
Sean Day. Wow. Former exceptional status granted in the OHL and Rangers, third round pick he was?
Third round pick, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Third round, 81st overall in 2016. Man, that was a player that should have been so much more. He was playing with HV71 in Swedish Hockey League last year. So I'm surprised that they're taking a look at him.
By the way, Sorry, Phil. By the way, in my discussion about how Aitchison fits in with Islanders defensemen that love to play the body, I forgot the guy that's on the team right now, Alexander Romanov, who he's starting to round out to be a pretty good defenseman.
Yeah, I mean, he's really kind of. I mean, funny enough, I really think that they overpaid a little bit with that contract. But if you think about it, he's probably the guy who they can depend on the most to eat the minutes and take the tough defensive assignments right now. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Kasperitis when he was younger.
Oh yeah,
a guy that would go out of his way, throw big hits. Probably won't fight a lot, but he'll probably goad some people into fights and taking fighting penalties or penalties for roughing and going after him because he throws big hits. That's what he does. He's pretty good at that. He's one of the last of a dying breed of open ice hitters that really know how to throw their weight around in open ice. So
and I think one thing that's going to help the New York Islanders as well in the goals against category, because I didn't mention it on our rundown again, because there's a lot we're going to talk about with the Islanders today, guys. But Semyon Varlamov looks healthy. And if he's healthy, that gives you a capable backup. We're going to talk more about that when we get to Ilya Sorokin later on in the show. But it's one of those things that's why with the Islanders, there's a lot of possibilities. You look at them, there's more possibilities than there is questions than, say, for instance, across the river with the Rangers. You're kind of seeing more questions that need to be answered, and if there's answers, they got to change around. But we're not going to talk about the Rangers right now. Let's move on to the next question, Phil, and let's go to Maxim Shabanov, or Shabanov, as I think Anthony said.
I've heard it pronounced both ways. I really don't know.
Well, one of them sounds like a 1950s like boy band. Like it's the Shabanov.
1950s boy band.
I don't know. I was trying to think.
Yeah, let's scratch that one, Mark. Let's.
All right. I think Shabanov sounds a little bit more like but I'll find out how he pronounces it. Anyway, here's the numbers from Tractor. 23 goals, 44 assists, 67 points in 65 games last year. Phil, you were tracking him for a while. How much of an impact do you think he's going to have?
This is an interesting one. Mark just wants to listen to Elvis today. You know what? I'm kind of torn on this because I see the skill, I see the skating and the shiftiness. I just wonder how the adjustment is going to be in terms of adjusting to what is entirely now a smaller ice surface for him. I know that some KHL rinks are NHL size, North American size, but there are others that are still, the international size over there. So for me, it's how is he going to adjust to the speed of this game? Because they play the game a little slower over there too.
Mm-hmm.
Two, how is he going to adjust to the physicality of the game, which is going to be a big thing. We've seen this with players like Kravtsov and others that have come over from the European leagues. It's a much more physical game over here. Three, where is he playing in the lineup? I know that they wanted to sign him and probably promised him top 6 minutes because I think that was one of the reasons why he chose the Islanders. But at the same time, if you're not playing up to that kind of standard, are they going to keep him there? Are they going to move him around the lineup? Supposedly he looks pretty good with Barzal so far, which would be massive for them, especially because Barzal has lacked somebody that can play off the rush with him. Since Jordan Eberle was claimed by Seattle in the expansion draft, which I thought was just a stupid move. I don't understand why they.
Yeah, how did you not leave Josh Bailey exposed?
Yeah, well, Josh Bailey, Cal Clutterbuck, Matt Martin, someone like that. Anyone you could have put in there. and they decided to let the guy that played best with their best offensive player go, which I don't understand it. But Shabanov can, if he can play sort of the same type of style of hockey that Everly played with Barzal, then maybe you could see Barzal put up some good numbers this year, especially if he's playing back at center again. So, I mean, if that's the case and that works out, then that gives the Islanders a 1-2 punch down the middle of Barzal and Horvat, and that's not a bad 1-2 punch to have. It beckons the question, like, where is the wing depth, and this is a big part to that question, is how can Shabanov come in?
Mhm.
Sipakov was decent for them. And I said last year, if you got a 20-20-40 season out of Sipakov, you would take that and run. But he was right around where I thought he'd be, like 35 to 40 points, and he looked good at times. I think if he improves his skating, I think there's enough skill, and he plays the right way. He kind of reminds me a little bit of a more talented version of like a Zach Hyman, where he'll go to those dirty areas to score those goals. And I like that about Sipakov. Like, that's a player that you want to have, like one of those unsung guys that comes in and just plays good, hard, honest hockey.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I do agree with you. Shabanov has a lot more skill. The thing is that I think with skilled players coming over from that type of league, there is an adjustment to be made. And how quickly can he adjust to that game? And one, can he? And two, how quickly can he make that adjustment? And those are two big questions that you're going to have to ask. And that goes for any player that's coming over from Europe, especially the KHL. It's not just Shabanov. It's not like I'm singling him out. It's everybody that comes over.
Yeah, that's 100% true, because look, just like learning another language, this is what this is. It might be a similar language, but you still got to learn another language in this. And in the case of anybody that learns another language, you get the guys that either pick it up like that, or that it takes a while and maybe they don't fully get it. And then you have, then it still could be some problems. Where I'm going with this is, Shabanov, can his skill translate over to the NHL? Because that's going to be a very big thing. The other part of it is, take for instance with Sipakov. Sipakov went through the adjustment, and you looked at him like that snipe he had versus Columbus that opened the season. You're like, wow, this guy is going to be something special. Kind of wasn't. And sometimes sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not saying he's Nikita Gutsev or I always forget the guy's name.
Gutsev had a nice first year. Vadim Shipachyov is who you're thinking of from
Shipachyov, yeah. That, like, he's gone before you even know it. So that's one of those things. But I think they need Shabanov to excel and exceed expectations. And there's another reason why we're going to get to that right now, because you're talking about who he's playing with. He's playing with Mat Barzal. Mat Barzal, 31 goals, 77 assists, and 108 points. It was a +9 and an all-star last year, 2024. Not last season, last year. And those numbers over the last 117 games. Why those numbers? Because the Islanders acquired Bo Horvat in that time, and that moved Barzal to the wing. He's going to be going back to center now. So how will Mat Barzal acclimate to moving back to center? And Phil, are there any cases you could think of a guy going from center to wing, back to center, and really kind of not missing a beat? Because Mat Barzal can skate. He should be able to do this.
Leon Draisaitl.
What was he, a full-time wing?
He played a lot with Connor McDavid at some points, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, then I can make that case for Evgeny Malkin and
it's less with them. They were used more as a power line, but there was a time where Draisaitl was like a full-time wing with McDavid. towards the very later part of the previous decade. So like when Draisaitl had his first like 50 goal 100-point year, he was playing wing with McDavid for a lot of that season. Excuse me, but I saw this. I don't know if this is any better, Rich. I moved it a little closer to me. It was like kind of far away from me, so hope that helps. But
we got you got the blue mic. You're gonna probably start using that at some point.
I do. That's what I'm using.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you just gotta get a stand or something that gets you.
I have a stand.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
I was a little far away.
There might be another setting. I'll go over that with you later. Like there's a setting on the back of the microphone. Sorry.
Hopefully this is a little better. But
yeah.
The what if video? Maybe that was it then. I don't know. But yeah, and thank you, by the way, both you and Matt. I saw your comments about that. But yeah, I think Barzal will be okay. I think I like him better as a playmaking winger than I like him at center. I feel like defensively he's okay. He's not the greatest. I think he's better served as a winger. And I just think that having him at center would hold a lot, or having him a wing would hold a lot better for this Islander team. But I understand why they're doing that, and center depth is important. And I've said it several times, especially regarding the Igor Shesterkin talk, is you win with center depth down the middle. You have to have great center depth. All the great teams, they have two things in common. They have great center depth and then a strong defense. And that's how you win in this league. So I do think Barzal will be all right. I just think he's better served as a winger. That's just my opinion. But I think with enough skill around him, I think he can put up some points. And I do think he can look the part at center. Especially if Shabanov fits the bill and he's having a Calder type season, that means Mat Barzal is probably around like a point per game player.
Yeah. And
Barzal being a point per game player would go a long way for a team that has had 2 point per game players in the last 25 years.
Yeah.
I don't think Yashin was a point per game in 2002. I think he fell just short of that. So for an Islanders team that has been looking for top line talents, 75 points in 78 games, Yashin in 2002. But if you can get, Shabanov to be that type of player and Barzal elevates to an 80-plus point player, and you have Horvat at number 2 center, and he's your matchup guy and is like a 30-30-60 guy while playing strong defense, you're looking pretty good offensively.
You know what the weird thing is? You hear me go on these rants about guys, Filk, where I say, watch out for player X because he's a bit of a injury. He's got the injury bug or injury history. Barzal in 2 of his last 3 seasons, in 22-23, 58 games, that he got injured just after Horvat came. Then he played an 80-game season, and then he had the injury bug last year. I do think he would have come back if the Islanders games meant something at the end, if all the information we had was correct, but it was a bit of a long shot, and why risk it? I actually don't look at Barzal as this, oh no, look out, he's going to get injured type of guy. Going back to this, though, if he reacclimates to being an NHL center and a good one, and if you're talking about Mat Barzal at a point a game, I think the Islanders are a playoff team at center, and that's what he does. That's how good. Because then if everyone else's production is going up, that third line has potential to actually have some talent on it. When you're talking about now, Anthony Duclair's on that third line. Although we were talking about Sepulkov's going to be starting on the fourth line, slated right now, that Anthony was saying. We should have him back soon. And there's the different bits of potential. And that's if Barzal can go back to center and be successful. I mean, I guess maybe was Joe Pavelski a guy that went from wing back to center late in his career. But even though, by the way, Phil,
Pavelski was another one who went back and forth between wing and center for a bit. He played with Joe Thornton as a winger and also did center as well. So,
although it's funny because Hockey Reference still lists Barzal as a center. So, and they never listed him as a right wing, even though in the 23-24 season, all 80 of those games, those were right wing games. And so was the 30 last year. Again, you look at Barzal's talent, and he's only 28 years old. So there's almost no reason why he can't come out of this. And I do think if he's a center, I think that's more valuable to the New York Islanders, because then it obviously lengthens their lineup, and they have, I think, so many more guys that could play wing on this team. I mean, where does Andrews Lee slot in? Where does Kyle Palmieri slot in? There's a lot of those guys you can ask that question with. And if Barzal is a center, that helps the Islanders lineup. And again, you gotta like how that would benefit the New York Islanders. But let's go to what Cam Robinson said. He tweeted out yesterday, a team source to Cam Robinson, that on Mathieu Schaefer, he might be a top D pair guy out of the box. Phil, that is high praise for a guy that they've already been watching in camp. We saw the impressive play at the beginning of the show. Phil, if he's the top D guy right away, what does that mean for the New York Islanders?
You could look at that two ways. I mean, what's that saying about the depth of your defense, but also what's that saying about him? Like, if he's phenomenal right off the bat, then, that's great news. But also, what is that saying about your defense and the depth that you have? So, again, that could really go both ways. I think the skating is going to help him. As we've seen, like Quinn Hughes, when he came up right away, he was another one that looked really good because he could outskate just about everybody in the NHL at that point. Cale Makar, same thing. He came up right away, and he was a difference maker. And maybe Mathieu Schaefer could be a difference maker in that way. I don't know if he has the same offensive talent that Hughes and Makar had. But I will say this. When I watched my footage of Schaefer, I can tell you right now, he had smarts that were definitely beyond his years. So that's something that I would look into if you're ever looking to watch footage on Schaefer and really kind of analyzing his game. Not right away. He did not. No, that didn't come for another few years. So. Taves didn't join until the 21-22 season. He was with the Islanders.
He was an Islander then.
He was with for both their runs to the Eastern Finals. He was an Islander. So, but Makar, phenomenal skater. Hughes, phenomenal skater. Schaefer, phenomenal skater. I'm not sure if he's as good as the other two were right off the bat, but he's still a very, very good skater. And I think that's going to help. I just wonder about, like I said, can he handle the minutes? Can he handle the physicality? I mean, it's not just about, what's going to, happen when he has the puck and what can he do with the puck, but it's how is he going to react when he has a 6'4", 225-pound Eric Lindros type coming down on him at full speed, looking to crash into him when he's in the corner with the puck. Like, those are big things that you really have to think about as a defenseman.
And by the way, Phil, to extend what you're thinking right there are those guys that want to just crack them just to say, welcome to the NHL, kid.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's absolutely going to get that welcome to the show treatment. You know, a lot of guys are going to look to take every possible lick that they can take against him. And that's what you have to worry about as a defenseman. Will he take hits to make plays? Will he make the responsible plays? Will he make the right plays? Is he going to be prone to turning over the puck when, he's under pressure? You got to remember, he's skating around a lot of these guys in preseason, but the guys that he's going to be playing against in the regular games and regular season games are going to be faster. They're going to be more physical, and they know that he's a young hotshot, so they're going to go after him. So again, I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of this. I'm not saying
no, nothing wrong with that, but that's something you have to make sure. This is where the mentality of the game comes in.
Yeah,
and this is where if Mathieu Schaefer comes in, plays 9 games, they send him back to juniors. Where they can't send, I forget, can they send him back to juniors?
They can, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, how is he going to handle all this? And I mean, everybody's looking at the skating, and it's easy to be oohed and odd and caught up in that. But there are so many other little things that people overlook when it comes to playing defense that you have to look at when evaluating a player. And that's why a lot of times where fans will be like, oh, well, why didn't they keep this guy up? Why didn't he stay? Yada yada yada. Because there's more than just moving the puck and just playing one-on-one defense. Like, there's position.
Correct.
There's breaking the puck out of the zone and doing so effectively. And a lot of people, I mean, I'm not trying to be that guy, but like, when you play the position, you have more of an understanding of what you have to do and what comes into play with this. And yes, you can get that from watching too. So that's why I'm saying I'm not trying to be that guy.
Yeah.
But when you do it firsthand, you understand it a little more, and you understand the little things that the teams not ask of you, they demand of you to be able to do at a high level, at that next level. And that's what separates the men from the boys.
And I can tell you this, Phil, I played a few seasons on defense with a couple different teams. I'm naturally a forward, naturally a center. But at times I could be too aggressive. But when you're gathering the puck and trying to run a breakout, and you're looking up at your options as a guy's barreling down on top of you, and you have to make that decision like that, that's one of those moments where you go, all right, it's not exactly as easy as it looks, everybody. That's a reason why they talk about things like who can get the best outlet passes and stuff like that. And who can get it out of their zone. Because if that puck's still in your zone, if you're turning the puck over, that's going to lead to pucks in the back of your net. And the next thing you know, you're going to be playing elsewhere. And it's funny, Phil, you were mentioning about playing zone defense, about playing man-to-man. And just a quick shout out to Matt. Carson Soucy can't do any of that. So, but any event, Mathieu Schaefer, that's some of the things he's going to have to learn. And as Arnold Palmer said, or was it Jack Nicklaus? Either one, it comes down to a game of 12 inches, and it's right between the ears. So if he picks it up quick,
like a Jack Nicklaus quote.
I think it was a Jack Nicklaus quote. I think that was
Jack Nicklaus was the more serious of the two. Arnold Palmer was the guy who liked to party and and was the very social and cordial one. So yeah, I think to me that sounds like Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah, I think it is Jack Nicklaus. But I think that's something that Mathieu Schaefer, who's already shown a whole lot of maturity at this level. Let's see how much more maturity is in there for the kid, and right away. And he, like I said, that one highlight, he looks calm and composed right now. We'll see about that 10 games into the season. Phil, the last question for the New York Islanders. We hope to get Anthony back later on the show, guys. And that's, will the New York Islanders make the playoffs? Phil, go ahead.
I'm gonna go no. I just think I wonder about their scoring depth. I look at this Islanders team, and yeah, Mat Barzal only played 30 games last year, so the numbers don't look good. Like Horvat led the team in points with 57. Anders Lee led with 29 goals and 54 points for second place. Kyle Palmieri had 24 goals and 48 points. Simon Holmstrom, 20 goals, 45 points. Brock Nelson, before the trade, was having a down year, 20 goals, 43 points in 61 games. And then John Gabriel Pageau had 42 points, and then Dobson had 39. So, like, I really do wonder about the scoring here. I wonder about Jonathan Drouin away from Nathan MacKinnon. And it's nice to see Jonathan Drouin like revive his career, but you got to remember he was doing that playing with Nathan MacKinnon in Colorado.
Yes,
like,
and Kel McCarr.
And Cal McCarr. Well,
and
I
for
mean,
one
it's
season,
really
Rantanen.
I mean, sure, but it's really Nathan MacKinnon was the guy he was playing with. And, I mean, his last 2 years in Colorado, like, were really good for, for his standards. Like, he had two of his best seasons, like, ever. So, but in 122 games, he had 93 points playing in Colorado. But it's really... It comes down to, like, is he going to be able to do that away from Nathan MacKinnon? Like, what is he away from Nathan MacKinnon? Because before that, in all the years before that, after the trade, his Montreal years, he had 186 points in 321 games in Montreal. Like, that's not exactly great for a guy who was drafted third overall in 2013. I mean, he had his 2018-19 season was a tie for his career high in points with 53, although he had 53 in only 73 games in 2017. But after that, I mean, the next 4 years in Montreal before the trade, 87 points in 163 games. That's not good enough. That's not good enough at all. So, I mean, he wasn't playing a lot of games, and he was scoring at maybe just over a half a point per game pace. So, I wonder about him. I wonder about Anthony Duclair coming back from an injury. I mean, he tore his groin off the bone.
Oh,
That's a crazy injury. And again, we've seen Jaromir Jagr deal with nagging groin injuries for a while. So, it's not an easy injury to deal with. So what is he going to come back as? And is he going to be the same player? I mean, he only played 44 games. But, I mean, maybe they do miss the playoffs again due to injuries. You got to worry about Pelech and Pulock, especially Pelech. Pelech is an injury case because he plays even tougher than Pulock does. And at all the mileage in his body and all the injuries, you worry about that. Can Sorokin bounce back? And how is his back going to be? That's another thing. How is his back going to be? 2, can he be the same goaltender after that? And 3, is he going to be able to carry this type of team in front of him? Anders Lee, was that his last gasp?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was his age 34 year. He's 35. I mean,
and he had 29 last year, right?
He had 29 goals and 54 points last year, which were, I think, his second best numbers of his career.
Yeah.
Points-wise, I think it was his second best.
Goal-wise.
Points-wise, his second best. Goal-wise, it's his third best.
Oh, okay. I was going to say goal. I thought it was his second.
No, he had a 40
obviously
34. Yeah. But, I mean, that's his last year. He's playing for a contract. Like, does he just want to take a discount and stay on the island? Or is he going to look for the biggest deal possible? Like, you don't know what you're going to get with him. I mean, yeah, and this is another thing. Mark has gone on for 2 years now talking about how he doesn't think Patrick was that great of a coach. And you know what? I understand that. I kind of agree with it. He's made the playoffs twice in his career, and outside of that, his teams have not been good in those two. And outside of those 2 years, they haven't been good at all. So, I mean, you got to wonder what's going on. But does Palmieri have another year left in him? I mean, he's Chris Kreider's age. They're both 2009 draft picks. What are you getting in a Kyle Palmieri? What's that?
There's a difference in play between the two of them, though. Like Kreider's a little bit more physical and speed heavy with back problems, and Palmieri, like he'll still go to the front of the area, but he's a little bit more healthy, with the back. Doesn't need a backiotomy, if you will. But it's there. That's a fair question also to ask.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago he had 30 goals and 54 points. The 30 goals tied a career high. And, last year dropped to 24 and 48. Like, is he going to continue to drop further? He's 34. I mean, he'll be 35 in February. So that's another one that's older. A lot of these guys on this team they're core guys that you build around are older in age. And that's another thing you got to worry about. So you know what? I have questions. I'm going to lean towards no. Would it totally floor me if they made it? It would be surprising, but I wouldn't be completely shocked. Again, this division is a complete crapshoot. It's the biggest crapshoot I've seen in my time as a hockey fan in terms of this specific division. So, yeah, there is a chance that they make it, but I can't. If we were doing bar talk for this, it's a beer. I don't know if they're
beer leaning shot, sort of.
Yeah, I would say beer leaning shot. Yeah,
because here's part of the problem, though. We can sit here and talk about, well, what if this guy bounces back? What if this guy bounces back? What if this guy bounces back? If you got a lot of bounce back candidates, chances are they're all not going to bounce back. Jonathan Drouin, I think, is a great signing for the New York Rangers by Mathieu Darche, because your best case he succeeds and you move him. And we said in the green room when Anthony was still on with us that he probably doesn't think that they're going to move him this year. But Drouin would be a guy I would think about whether or not they're going to move at the trade deadline. Because if he produces, let's say the way he produces last year.
Call that a doctor. I don't know where you get that one from, Huck, but I mean, sure.
But that's one of them. In one way, you could say Anthony Duclair, he's already fought back from an Achilles tendon injury to come back, and I think he was a 30-goal scorer after that. It was with Florida, and then he scored 24 between San Jose and Tampa. So you can look over and go, hey, Duclair, he's already answered that question. But how many injuries like that do you think he can actually withstand? And if that's the case, maybe that's it. You try with Duclair. If he can't, and let's say he has to retire early or goes on LTIR, then that gives an opening to, say, a young player that's trying to come up and make the team, like Ritchie. There's also J.G. Pajot, who they look to move. There's so many questions with the New York Islanders about them being I'll use the term tweener. They're a tweener team because they could be a playoff team, but they would also go for some more retooling, and it wouldn't kill the fan base. They're not trying to hold open the Stanley Cup window. They are trying to win it. Obviously, that's what day one for everybody is. Can you go win the Stanley Cup? Even the San Jose Sharks are going to do that. But the real thing is it even possible? And then you kind of reevaluate as it goes on. And yes, and a speed guy like Duclair does struggle with inconsistency.
I really wonder how that injury affects his skating and his desire to take contact on.
Yeah.
Because I don't after an injury like that, how is that going to affect him mentally? Is he going to want to go in there and take that hit, knowing that if he gets hit the wrong way, he could re-injure that? I don't know. I mean, for me, he's never been the greatest defensive player and never been somebody that you would ask for quality play away from the puck. But yeah, that's got to be something you got to factor into his play.
Well, we're going to be talking more about that and some of the other players coming in our NHL Bar Talk. This event, this Bar Talk, all dedicated to the New York Islanders. Not one question about anyone else. So it's really just New York Islanders Bar Talk. But let's get to that right now.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever to answer.
I'm going to say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. And everybody, welcome back to Big Apple Hockey's New York Islanders Bar Talk, where we're gauging our confidence on NHL topics or New York Islander topics based on our choice of drink. You're so confident that you're buying around, so still have a beer. Oh my God, I need a shot. Play along down in the comments below, everybody. And of course, NHL Bar Talk. Focus on tomorrow night, where you go to Boss Croakers in Wantagh for Wing Wednesday, 40-cent wings, $2 tacos, $4 Miller Lights, and Yinglings. So let's get down to this one again, Phil, where, I mean, oh, that went to Pick Ems. Sorry. Let's go to one of the guys where we kind of hinted at a little bit in the beginning, Callum Ritchie, who they got from the Colorado Avalanche. And a lot of people think Lou stole him from the Colorado Avalanche. By the way, everybody that says that Lou really wasn't that great, he did not leave that cupboard bare when he left. So everybody kind of might need to owe him an apology in a few years. But you look at what he did in Oshawa with the Oshawa Generals, 70 points in 47 games, only 15 goals, but that doesn't really matter. And a lot of people talk about him as being a great two-way center. Cal Ritchie will play his way onto the New York Islanders opening night roster.
Beer? I mean, I didn't get to see the game the other night, so I only got to really kind of see highlights, and I was kind of focusing on Schaefer, to be honest with you.
Likewise.
I do think it might be tough for him because I don't think that they want to put him in a situation where they're Manny Malhotra him and having him play less minutes and playing a lesser role that's more designed for kind of like a checking purpose. And I think they would be smart to not do that. If it's between playing 12 minutes at the NHL level and playing 20 minutes at the AHL and getting his feet under him, I think it's probably beneficial, at least just for this year, for them to do that, because you have Drouin on like a 2-year deal for Drouin, I think it is.
Yep.
And you can go ahead and get rid of him. Yeah, he's got a 2-year deal. Duclair has a 3-year deal, but I'm not even sure Duclair lasts the entirety of his remaining deal. Pierre Engvall is somebody that could end up getting sent down again at some point.
I think that's pretty fair to say.
Yeah, and State of Survival brings up a great point. He's waiver exempt. So, I mean, he can go back and forth between the minors without having to go through waivers. So, I do think that there is a very good chance that he's going to be playing in the AHL. They need some talent in Bridgeport. They need a whole culture change in Bridgeport, to be honest. And
yes, they do.
Having some talent there would help go a decent way towards that. So I'm going to say that he's probably playing in the AHL for Bridgeport, but you can't rule it out. So I'm going to say beer.
Yeah. I know I can't rule it out, Phil. I'm going to have to go shot. And I know we talked about this as a little bit more of a positive a couple weeks ago on the show in the summer. I'm going to go with this being a negative this is the one negative when Mat Barzal moved back to center, because it means that that's a spot that you might have thought Callum Ritchie was going to be there. Nope.
It's a lot to ask, though, for a guy that has, 7 NHL games of experience to come in and be your number 2 center.
Correct. And, by the way, his first NHL goal and only NHL goal was scored
against the
New York Islanders. It's a lot for them to ask, and also this is where contracts CBA, salary cap, all those things come into play. And I wouldn't, when they send him down, and I think they will, Mathieu Darche is going to have the right conversation with this guy. Now, I would have concerns because Bridgeport was such a disaster last year. But then again, we had like some guys did show improvement on Bridgeport, and I forgot his name all of a sudden. But we had him on the show. Forget. Anyway.
Jeffries.
Jeffries. Alex Jeffries. There we go.
Alex Jeffries, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I got a lot of stats in here.
Yeah, I wasn't on for that interview, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a morning interview, and Alex was nice enough to come on. And by the way, again, Coach K does a great job with you. But Alex showed some promise, and I was kind of hoping he would get a shot at this. Danny Nelson was another guy that we were talking about.
I don't think Danny Nelson's ready yet. I mean, if anything, when I look at Danny Nelson, I think that's someone that maybe at the end of the season you could see him. He could be like Cole Eisman, where they bring him up for a few games at the end of the season after the NCAA season ends. Mm-hmm. But I don't think you're gonna see him as a full timer until at least next year. Yeah,
and again, and I'm trying to remember the other guy's name. Was it Quigley? Is that it? Or no? It's there's another player that was looking pretty good for their system. But again, the Islanders are so veteran laden that they need to start weeding some of them out in order to get there. And you look at now Mat Barzal being back at center, that just takes away another spot where Callum Ritchie could be going in. But one guy that's filling a spot that he could have possibly been in, we mentioned him just a minute ago, Jonathan Drouin. The last 2 years, 122 games played, 30 goals, 63 assists, 93 points. Bit of a career renaissance for him, and that was with the Colorado Avalanche, Phil. With the New York Islanders, Jonathan Drouin will notch 50 points this season.
I believe he's playing on that line with Shabanov and Barzal.
Mm-hmm.
Where is he playing? I gotta say beer here because I don't know where he's gonna play and two who he's playing with. But it's possible. It's possible. I mean, can Raw light a fire under his ass? I don't know. I mean, you got to remember he's on a 2-year contract. So, I mean, if he struggles, it's not looking good for him. But he's got 1 year left afterward. So next year is going to be a big, big year for Drouin because he's going to be playing for another contract then after that. But I mean, it's paramount that Drouin comes out and has a really good year for himself, for his own sake.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only say beer just because I don't know who he's playing with and I don't know where. Like, I wonder how different are things going to be away from Nathan MacKinnon. Like, 56 points is a career high, and he had that career high with MacKinnon. The last time he's only got 2 other 50-point seasons in his career. So I really wonder, like, what he can do on his own.
Look, that's a great question. And again, it comes down to health. Availability is the best ability in sports. And I'm going to have to go. I'll go beer on this only because Drouin's got the possibility on this. Let me just read off some numbers here on him. Last year, 43 games, 37 points. Yes, it was in Colorado, but still, that's just under a point a game. The year before, 79 games, 56 points. That was the year we all talk about, but that was 79 games. The year before in Montreal, or 58 games, 29 points. He had 2 goals and 27 assists. Yikes. 34 games, 20 points the year before. 44 games the 21-22 season, 23 points. So it's like if he's in the lineup, he can produce. That's the thing. He's got to be in the lineup. And I think there's that motivating factor for him about getting one more big contract. He's on a bit of a proven contract right now. So if the Islanders could squeeze whatever they can out of him, maybe I think 50 might be a tall order to ask. If Barzal goes back to being Mat Barzal as a center, producing and playmaking and creating a lot of open space with his skating, and then Shabanov hits, I think Drouin is a surefire thing. When I'm starting to ask two questions, and the third one still has to do with the player, then I have to go. I gotta go beer at best on that, because we can talk about one guy that looks more like a sure thing right now, especially for the New York Islanders, Simon Holmstrom. Look at him the last 2 years, 35 goals, and he had 6 of them shorthanded. Last year, 20 goals. He had 20 goals for the first time and 45 points. Simon Holmstrom will continue to take the next step, Filk.
This is very ambiguous.
Yeah.
What's the parameters here?
Well, if he's at 20, I'd say, let's say he gets to 25 goals and 50 points. Let's say 55 points.
If we're going at 55 points, I'm saying shot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's going to get that many points. I still think he's one of the better bottom 6 forwards in the NHL. I love his game. He's also one of the biggest shorthanded threats in the league right now.
Yeah, only one shorthanded goal last year was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, the shooting, he's still a threat. I mean, you're not going to – let's just say that big year where we had, like, what was it, like 5 shorthanded goals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of lightning in the bottle because the shooting percentage was very high that year. I mean, he shot it actually, funny enough, in the same amount of games, 75 games this year and this past year and the year before, he shot an identical 20.8%, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But the difference is that actually, I mean, he had 5 shorthanded goals the year before and then 1 this year. So, if we're going to 55 points, I'm saying shot.
Okay.
If he's, let's just say he's, I don't know, if he's between 45 and 50 points and he starts getting some Selke votes, like some legitimate, not just like 27th place in Selke voting because he got 1 or 2 like 4th place votes or something like that. Like, let's just say he finishes pretty high up in the Selke and like somewhere in like the top 10 to 20 range. Like he finishes there and you can see the defensive growth in his game, then I would say he has taken the next step. But if we're talking like 55 points, I don't know if I really don't think he's going to get there. So I would say shot, but I could see somewhere between 45 and 50 points. 50 points at the max, I would say. And it also depends on how he's used. Does he play any top 6 minutes? Is he strictly a third line guy? Does he get any power play time at all? Or is he strictly a shorthanded guy? Who's the third line center? Like what that third line, is that Duclair, Holmstrom, and Pajot? I mean, yeah, that could be a pain in the ass third line to play against, provided that Duclair is healthy and looks somewhat close to the 25 to 30 goal guy he was a few years back. And Pajot stays healthy because he's another one that plays hard and gets injured a lot as well.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's got to be health for his line mates. That's not so much him. I think he's going to get more bottom 6 minutes. I think he's going to look better defensively. And I think he's going to look better as a bottom 6 forward. If they try to promote him right now as a top 6 forward, I don't know about that. I am going to go beer on this one because we both like what Holmstrom is bringing to the ice every single game.
Yeah.
The question is, though, if you quantify it with numbers, I think he's going to fall short of 55 points. I think that's a tall order from the ask. See if he can be a 25 goal scorer. That's 5 more than last year.
Here's
Maybe
the issue.
5 more pucks go in. But again, Phil, it's hard to say with the way that top 6 is, because you got guys like Siplikov who played in the top 6, who's now not playing in the top 6. And
how many third liners in this league are scoring 50 plus points?
Not many.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's a lot to ask from Simon Holmstrom. So let this be clear that it's not a slap or a slight on Holmstrom.
Exactly.
It's a lot to ask of a third liner to score 55 points.
Yeah.
Like 60 is pretty much a second line forward at that point.
Yeah,
First, maybe depending on the team you're playing on and the depth they have. So
and, hold on, Phil. Somebody just noticed us. He's like, wait, what are you saying about Simon? No, sir. No, we're not saying anything bad about Simon Holmstrom.
We don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that. But on the other hand, Lou, we would love it if you could go on. So I'll say it like that.
Yeah.
Phil, all right. It's time for my annual. It's not even annual. It's definitely. I'm gonna say this at least 2 more times this season. I know everybody might be tired of me saying this. Patrick Waugh has only made the playoffs twice in his career. His first year with the Avalanche, his first year with the New York Islanders. His first full year with the New York Islanders. Sorry. Yeah, his first year with the New York Islanders. So, Patrick Waugh will coach 1 more playoff game with the New York Islanders.
Are we talking this year or are we talking in general?
Could be in general. Let's say in general.
All right. So in general, I'm going to say round. Like, I think at some point they're going to get back there. Yeah, I'll stick with round. I'm just thinking about Beer for a moment because I think that maybe he could be on the hot seat. But I think this is kind of a transitional year. Unless ownership is really playoffs or bust, which I doubt after picking first overall. I don't think you can really make the expectation that you have to be a playoff or bust team.
I don't know. The other New York team did that.
Unless your roster construction is really that good and you somehow lucked into an Ottawa or like a San Jose situation where they ended up getting like a really high pick despite making the playoffs because they lucked into a trade that ended up working out in their favor. Like I don't think how you I can't see how you can expect playoffs or bust from a team that actually was a part of the draft lottery. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't make sense. Crazier things have happened. Ownership can be finicky, to say the least, but I don't see how you can expect that. I think Waugh will eventually coach another playoff game with the Islanders, though.
I believe in ghosts. I believe in aliens. I do not believe in Patrick Waugh as an NHL head coach. So I'm going to go shot. Is it unfair for me to say for a guy that I consider one of the greatest players ever to play in the NHL? Possibly. But I'm not taking a shot at him. There are the greats that know how to impart their wisdom. Wayne Gretzky wasn't that good of a coach. He was okay. I'm trying to think of like the greatest player I could ever think. Larry Bird made an NBA Finals, but it's difficult for the greats, generally speaking, to be able to go, all right, well, and just turn around and be a great coach. Ted Williams, I think, was a coach for 2 years with the Washington Senators back in the day. It doesn't happen very often where somebody as good as Waugh is a good coach. I've said words privately like he's
yeah, I don't know. I don't think. Listen, he's been here for a little bit, but I don't think he's necessarily in the hot seat.
The one question I keep going back to with everybody on this is, what do the Islanders do well?
That's a good point. That's a real good point.
Give me something.
They're not a great penalty killing team. They weren't a great power play team. Except for, I think, was it last year their power play was actually pretty good.
I think it was 2 years ago. Their
Was it
power
2
play
years
was
ago?
pretty
Okay,
good.
so they're
But I mean, they're not a great attacking team.
no, their
They're
power
not
play
a
is
great
not good.
defending team.
Not good.
For the greatest goaltender ever, a goalie like Ilya Sorokin, which is that talented, his numbers have dipped. There's and it's not that Patrick Waugh has forgotten more about hockey than I'll ever know. So I'm not trying to take any slight against Patrick Waugh. It's just sometimes there's just jobs that guys could do. There's some that it's not possible. So
Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky again,
greatest player ever, just not a good coach.
And again, why everybody was like hey, Mark Messier should be a coach. No, he shouldn't. No. Again,
please,
so if somebody it could prove me wrong in the chats, just tell me what is it that you look at with the Islanders under Patrick Waugh and go, my God, they are so good at this. I mean, we knew what they were under Barry Trotz. We knew what they were under Lane Lambert, and they were trying to extend what they did on Barry Trotz. Waugh came in, gave him the shot in the arm. He's an adrenaline boost. And I'm not taking a slight at who Patrick Waugh is. It's just, I don't see it. I don't see it, and I don't think he's going to be a good developmental coach because Nate McKinnon wasn't exactly flourishing after year one under Patrick Waugh. And a lot of those guys on the Avalanche weren't. I mean, there's a reason why after his first couple of years, they've never made the play. After his first year, none of his teams have made the playoffs. That can't be a coincidence. So we're going to see about that soon.
Yeah.
I mean, look, and again, anybody wants to tell me I'm wrong, go ahead, throw it down in the comments. But Status of Iowa says it best right here. Lou can't do it anymore, so Darche needs to run the identity. And yeah, wait, hold on. I think we got it. Face-offs. I guess the Islanders are a good face-off team. By the way, they were under Barry Trotz. So
yeah, I struggle to find what they do well. I really do think that there are some pieces here that will keep them competitive. I think with a better coach, I would like their chances more. Like if Quenneville came in and was running this team, I honestly think that he could. Bruce Boudreau could turn around this team offensively, and they do need that.
Yeah.
It's just his Achilles heel seems to be defense. And his teams are just they're never all that great defensively, especially when it lines up against the other good teams in the playoffs.
And I can't help but also look at it this way, Phil. I do question the way Patrick Waugh runs his bench because he came out and ripped Anthony Duclair a new one. And then it came out, he ripped the groin off his bone. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll drive to him. I'll go apologize. Okay. You had the game against the Rangers where a kid fresh out of the AHL, he never played a professional minute. I think he saw 2 shots and Waugh pulled him right back. I wonder how that kid's doing. Like this is there are things that have happened to Patrick in his career that he shouldn't have done to other people, and yet that's something that's I have my questions on it, and I see it and I don't like it, to say it just like that. All right, guys. That was the end of the New York Islanders bar talk. We're engaged our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. And let's do some pick'ems for the New York Islanders and this upcoming season.
I've got a gut feeling.
You want me to do 2 things?
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Now shoot!
And again, as far as the Patrick Waugh thing goes, the dude summed it up very perfectly right there, Phil. That's like my opinion, man. So, Phil, let's look at the guy who is the backbone of this team, even though his backbone is sort of like a slinky, he can contort himself and stop anything in Ilya Sorokin, who he's got a 907 save percentage and a 2.71 goals against. Are we going to see better numbers out of him this year or worse?
I'm going to say better. I think the goals against average will drop down a bit. I want to say you could see 2.5 or under, maybe there. It depends on the defense. It depends on his health. I just think regardless, it's going to be better. I think the bar is pretty low. I think the save percentage is more than capable of being much higher than a 907. I want to say if you can get him down to like a 2.5 and a 915 save percentage, they at least have a good chance of making the playoffs.
This is a guy who came into the league with a 918 save percentage and a 2.17 goals against 22 games. The next year, 925, 2.40. The next year after that, 924, 2.34. Then the next season comes in. And by the way, that last season I just quoted, second in Vezina Trophy voting. He finished 8th in Vezina Trophy voting 2 years ago. These are his numbers when he finished 8th. 908 save percentage, 3.01 goals against. So obviously the voters looked at him and said, he's doing his best. This is not the team. This is the team that's letting him down, I mean. Then last year, his save percentage dropped, but his goals against improved. 907 save percentage, 271 goals against. Now, I know you might want to say, oh, there's other metrics to look at. These are always the eye-opening ones, Filk. And he was 6th in Vezina voting last year. So again, guys are kind of seeing his goals saved above expected, which, by the way, when he was second in Vezina Trophy voting, he was 36.0 saves above expected. So he was 2.36 per game on average. Then the year after that, 3.1 and 2.9 last year. Look, Ilya Sorokin's doing his best to keep the New York Islanders and the defense and everything relevant. I think it almost seems like see, by the way, okay, thank you. And I was going to come back to this. This goes back to another thing I wonder about with Patrick Waugh. Because his handling of Ilya Sorokin was questionable in that series. And everybody remembers that picture of him sitting in the runway just not looking enthused. We'll say it like that. So, look, I wonder about what his mental state is. I do think the numbers improve because I think Ilya Sorokin is a good goaltender and one of the best in the league. I think the Islanders need to help him out, and if the defense improves, that's going to help it too. I also think, and sorry to say it once again, I think eventually there's a coaching change on this team. That's just what I think. And
maybe
when it does, you're going to see those numbers shoot up. Because I can't help but notice that the numbers have gone down greatly since Patrick Waugh has come here. And still, it boggles my mind because you're talking about arguably the greatest goalie ever. So I do think those numbers are going to improve again. And I do think he's mentally tougher to get over a couple of weak goals like that. It's just, and trust me, he makes so many great saves. I don't think a weak goal is going to bother him. Let's look at the Russia players that are on the Islanders, Filk. Who's going to have more points, Shabanov or Siplikov?
I'm going to go Shabanov just because I think that I think he's going to be playing top 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that's what it comes down to. I think Siplikov, I think his game could translate into a top 6 role. I really do think like he could be that guy that is battling for pucks along the boards. He's got enough skill to make plays to help keep plays alive and keep driving the play. I think he plays well off the cycle down low. And he gets to the dirty areas, and you need guys like that in your top 6. but I think that Shabanov is probably the more skilled player. He's the better skater. And he's very shifty from what I've seen so far. So I think he'll probably be playing with Mat Barzal. And I think he'll get more points just from that alone.
Yeah, I got to go Shabanov because he's starting in the top 6. I liked Sipakov's game last year. I liked what I saw out of him. I actually also saw that the game he got suspended the two games for. I thought the Flyers player, I'm trying to remember who it was kind of leaning over. Sipakov ended up hitting him, and he got him in the head. But, I mean, I also don't understand what Sipakov was supposed to do there. I think Sipakov could translate to a bottom 6 guy, too. I think he could see if he's ends up molding his game, playing as a bottom 6 guy, that could be a great improvement for the Islanders. And then you get a guy with that much talent now in a lower line, makes it tougher to match up against. But Shabanov playing with Mat Barzal and Jonathan Drouin, sky's the limit with him right now. So we'll go with that. Let's look at the guy that we haven't talked about at all on this show so far. Surprisingly enough, we're about an hour 36 in. But Bo Horvat, he had a 33-goal season his first year with the Islanders and just fell short of it last year. So Filk, over under 30 goals this year.
I'm going to go over. I think, especially if he's like the second line center, I know they might use him as more of a matchup guy. But I do think that he's probably going to play second line minutes. They might use him as more of a matchup guy in that role, but I still think he'll be playing against competition that will allow him to still get some more goals. It really depends on his line mates. That's really what, like, because who's playing on that line with him? Palmieri, Lee. I mean, I again, this is why I think the wing depth is important. It's a big question to ask because you don't know what you're getting from this group of wingers. You don't have Brock Nelson to move Bo Horvat over to the wing now, or Mat Barzal over to the wing. Cal Ritchie, you talked about the Cal Ritchie dilemma before. Cal Ritchie would have allowed one of Horvat or Barzal, presumably Barzal, to move over to the wing. So that still may not help Horvat, but Horvat has also played wing in his career and has actually looked good there. So I think I'm going to say over, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's very close to that 30 mark, like a 31 or a 32, something like that.
Yeah. I think it was 2 years ago. Oh, sorry, 2 years ago he had that 33-goal season. And last year he was, I'm just grabbing that number for everybody. He was 28. So he'll be there. I think he's going to go over 30. And Bo Horvat is a hell of a hockey player. You could put him on my team any day of the week and twice on Sunday. And I think if for some reason Anders Lee does not return, that C ends up going on Bo Horvat's chest. And you see him sort of starting to mentor in the new age of New York Islanders. But as far as goal production goes, as a New York Islander, with the exception of his first 30 games where he only had 7 goals, but you're talking about a guy that got traded and then lost his key center man with him because Barzal got injured for almost 6 weeks right after they acquired him. Horvat's produced, and he's produced with or without Barzal. He's going to be just fine. He'll score 30 goals. But let's look at 2 other guys that scored 30 goals for the New York Islanders in the past, Anders Lee and Kyle Palmieri. Who will have more goals?
I think I'm going to go Palmieri. I wonder if that's a last gasp from Anders Lee. I know he's in a contract year, but I think Palmieri is a safe bet for like 25 and maybe maybe about 50 points. I just don't know what I see from Anders Lee, being 35 years old, not the greatest skater. I know that he actually lost some weight and he looked like he was a bit faster last year. So that kind of contributed to like renaissance, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I got to go Palmieri here. I really think that he's probably the safer bet of the two for me.
I'm a little annoyed at Anders Lee, Phil, because he had to score one more goal. Because scoring the 29th goal last year, he would have had, and this is shocking to me, 4 seasons of 28 goals on the button. I always say the most mind-boggling statistic to me is Chris Davis with, great, we got Anthony back. Chris Davis of the Oakland Athletics that had the same batting average 3 years in a row. That's just, how the hell is that even possible? But Anders Lee, I think Anders Lee still has a lot to offer, and I think he's still going to be that front guy on the power play. But I'd have to go with Palmieri because I think just Palmieri might have a little bit more left in the tank than Anders Lee. And again, no slight at Anders Lee. He is given a hell of a lot to the New York Islanders and the organization, as well as, Cam Jam as well, you would say, Anthony. He's given a lot there. But he's I wonder if this is his swan song with the New York Islanders. Anthony, who's going to have more goals?
So as of right now, both these guys are going to play on Barzal's wing. So that's going to be the second line, Lee and Palmieri. So they're both playing with their most talented player. Lee had a resurgent year last year, definitely bounced back. Kyle Palmieri is a year removed from scoring 30 goals. I'm gonna say Palmieri just because Palmieri's got the better shot, he's got the better release, and he's also a better skater. Even though I think at one point last year we all acknowledged you could tell that the work that Lee put in on his skating was evident because he looked probably the best he's ever has as a skater. But needless to say, Palmieri beats him in that department too. So I'm gonna go with Palmieri. Now, of course, there's wrinkles to it. If maybe Lee's on the first unit and Palmieri's on the second, that may play a role into it. But being that they both are going to play with Barzal at least to start, I think it's going to be Palmieri.
So we had Shabanov playing with Barzal first.
No, he's not. The Wall already said it's going to be Drouin, Horvat, and Shabanov.
Okay,
Well, that's an interesting line.
Yeah,
you put the guy that's the best defensive center, the better of the two defensive centers, with the two guys who were more offensively inclined. Okay.
And also, by the way, you got the guy with some jam to his game that's going to be playing with those two. If it was Barzal, you might think it might be a little bit too much finesse. This line, all right, I can see that being that's a little bit better of a take. I don't want to down Anders Lee, but yeah, I think it's going to be Kyle Palmieri. And Islander fans, Kyle Palmieri had 24 goals last year. Sorry, it wasn't 25, referring to that Columbus game at the end, which I know Anthony is grinding his teeth right now, just even thinking about it. How was that not a goal? I don't know, but still. Anthony, so we'll start with you. This is actually our last question, so we're gonna get questions for everybody else to get you back in. Will we see Cole Yzerman late in this season?
Yeah, I think there's a fair chance that he turns pro after his year at BU. Now, will he play? That I think that could depend on a lot of things. You could look at it both ways. If the Islanders are fighting for a playoff spot, they might want him because obviously, what he brings is self-explanatory. So they may want to add him. On the flip side, if they're bad, they may feel like this is a good time to let him play in some, meaningless games. So Either way, I think there's a case where you could say, yeah, it makes sense for him to join the team when his season in the NCAA is done. So I think you're very well likely to see what Gabe Perreault and Ryan Leonard did. Their years ended, and they finished their college careers and they turned pro. So, yeah, I would be really shocked if his season ends and he still doesn't sign and turn pro. I really would. So, I was teetering on this before, but now I think about it, I think it's going to be around. I don't think he's going to go back to BU for, what would be his junior year. I think at that point he's going to be ready. So, and if he didn't, then Islander fans worry, because now you're talking, a year away, and I'm not even going to go there. But so yeah, I think he's going to join the Islanders when his year is over.
I don't think you have to worry about that, Anthony.
I know, that's why I was just
fine with the New York Islanders.
Yeah,
eventually, like if it's not being a year away, it's that. And I think there's a good chance that we end up seeing his one-timer from the right face-off circle before the year is over. Philip, what do you think?
I think he has some maturing to do in his all-around game. From what I've seen, I've watched a bit of him at BU. Shots tremendous. Skating could probably use a little work. But out of all the players outside of the NHL right now, like in terms of like better prospects, he's got one of the better shots. There's just no argument against it. I just wonder about the rest of this game. And I think there is a possibility. Maybe he's a full-timer next year. Maybe he starts in the AHL next year. I don't think it's a bad thing for listen, as a Ranger fan, watching them literally mishandle all of their top-end offensive prospects, the one thing I've learned is that time in the AHL is not necessarily a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't rush him, but I do think it's a possibility. So I'm going to say yes, just because all that it takes to make this a yes is one game. So
yeah. Yes. And just for him to sign and then get into camp, that's also another thing. All right. Before we get to your questions, everybody, we're going to go back. We're going to do the last two questions for the 5 burning segment questions to get Anthony and his opinion on it. Because once again, referring back, Team Source said to Cam Robinson that Matthew Schaefer, he might be a top D pair guy out of the box. Anthony, can Matthew Schaefer already be the Islanders' best defenseman?
So if you're talking just like pure skill wise, I mean, he was first overall for a reason, and he's ranked as the NHL's top prospect for a reason. So yeah, pure skill wise, yes. From a standpoint of being utilized as a top pairing D, playing against the other team's top lines, that's a different story. With that said, it's not crazy to think that he can't be that too. I mean, when you skate as well as he does, that's your biggest tool to defending. So he has the speed to keep up with a Nathan McKinnon and whatnot. Obviously, like a guy like that, savvy veteran will think the game better and be a step ahead of you in that kind of aspect. But I think when you skate the way he does, I think automatically that's going to give him the ability to contend with some of the league's best just because he can hang with them. In terms of just being green and, making a decision that a veteran wouldn't and that kind of stuff, that kind of type of stuff takes time and you learn. So I don't think it's impossible. I do think right now though the plan is for him to play on the third pair with Scott Mayfield. When you look at what they're doing in camp, Romanov, D'Angelo is the other pair, and then of course the veterans, P&P, Pellick and Pollock are together. So I think Waz every intention is to use Pellick and Pollock as the team's top pairing defenseman, shutdown pair. They have a long way to go to get back to, what they were. Because let's face it, during Trotz's heyday, they were viewed as one of the best shutdown pairs in the league. And, injuries and age kind of, chipped away at that. I'm not confident they could be that again. I still think they're very good defensemen. They're both top 4 defensemen without a doubt. Get to that level again, I'm not sure. But so as for Schaefer, I think they're going to try to insulate him for a little bit. But again, when you have as much talent as he does, it's not impossible.
And lastly, Anthony, the big question: will the Islanders make the playoffs?
So this one, I always go back to, if you look at it last year, Mat Barzal only played in 30 games. He missed 52 games.
Mm-hmm.
So he's their most skilled player. And, with missing him and then trading Nelson, come 2 weeks left in the season, they were still, 2 points behind Montreal. So they were right there. So you would think with a healthy Barzal, adding a player like Mathieu Schaefer, and then you have what could be a wild card in, Shabanov, I think they're going to compete. Again, it depends upon health. Are their key players going to stay healthy this year? Is Pellick going to be injured for, what seems to be like the 3rd year in a row? So there's a lot of questions that go into it. Varlamov is in camp. He's not participating with the team, but he's skating. But they have a reliable backup now, and David Ritchie. That will keep Ilya Sorokin fresh. If you remember, he was coming off back surgery last year. And when we did this preview then, we were all like, back surgery, that's a big thing. We don't know how it's going to be. And he came out on fire. He was great. It was almost like this guy is coming off back surgery and he's playing like this. But then, Varlamov got hurt, I think, November 1st or right before that. And then he was run into the ground at that point because they didn't trust, Hog, the Hog, as they call him, Hogberg. So with a guy like Ritchie going to be able to give him a night off with confidence, I think that will keep him fresh, which should keep him at the top of his game. So, to answer this question is hard because, like, if I say round, I'm guaranteeing playoffs. And if I say shot, I'm saying definitely not. And I don't think you can unequivocally say to either of those. So I got to say beer. If this was, if it
was a bar talk.
Yeah, I would have to say beer. So I'll leave that. Yeah, I think they're what I said when I first came on before I had to run. But I think their floor is like a bubble team. And I think if a lot of things go right, I think they can maybe compete for like 3rd in the Metro. So will they make the playoffs? I'll take the easy way out and say 50-50 shot.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
go ahead, Filk.
The discussion I had with Schaefer was that, like, yeah, you could talk about the skating and how maybe he looks like one-on-one, but you gotta really look at the nuances of actually playing defense, like all the little details and everything. Like, is he going to take a hit to make a play? How is he going to react when he has a 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 225-pound guy barreling down on him, looking to introduce him to the NHL? Is he going to be able to handle that pressure? How is he going to deal with the other faster skaters? And I'm not, again, like I said at the beginning of the show, Michkov's not slow. He's also not a burner. I can name a lot of skaters that are better and faster skaters than him. So, yeah, while his skating is great, like, what about his lateral movement? What about his gap control against better players? There are a lot of other factors that go into actually playing the position, and it's something you got to worry about. The other thing I would say about Schaefer is that what does that say about the rest of your defense that an 18-year-old kid could come in green as hell and be your best defenseman? It says, one, that it's good for him, but what does it say about the rest of your defense? And that's what I look at.
And again,
right. Yeah.
I think it's more credit to Schaefer than it is a slam at the rest of them. But it's also there's a lot of tread on the tires for
yeah. There's a lot of tread on those tires. They have a shutdown pairing, which hasn't been like you said, the way it's been years ago because of the age and the injuries that have caught up to them. And then where's your defensive depth outside of that? Like Scott Mayfield, okay, fine bottom pairing guy, but Tony D'Angelo. No, it wasn't Al Rollins in 54. I that's what why I was quiet. The last guy to actually miss the playoffs as a Vezina Trophy winner was Roy Waters in 1931 with the New York Americans.
Okay,
that's the I went through an entire list of them and fact checked it.
By the way, John Van Beesbrook almost did it in 1994. But finish your point on that, Phil. I didn't mean to derail you.
No, it's okay. It's just I think there's a lot of questions to ask with that. Just like with the Rangers defense, like they have a good top pairing, but what do they have after that? And that's really what I worry about with the Islanders. You have an 18-year-old guy who you think is going to be a prodigy, and I definitely think he's going to be a very good defenseman at this level. I wonder about making that transition straight from junior to the NHL, and that's hard enough to do as it is. Now you're asking a defenseman to do that. Like, when was the last defenseman that you thought that you can think of that came straight up from juniors to the NHL and was like right away was amazing? Like Ray Bork. You have to go back to maybe Ray Bork.
And there's been a few.
Chris Pronger wasn't like that right off the bat as an 18-year-old.
What the hell?
What was that?
All of a sudden, fucking my iTunes opened up.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot to ask of Schaefer for him to be the team's best defenseman. But it's also not saying a lot if he ends up being it says a lot for him, but it doesn't say a lot for the rest of the squad. That's just, I don't know. That's just my view on it.
All right. So Bork Poppin are shining examples of plug and play players.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking a lot for him to be plug and play, be that good. Like, that's if he ends up coming up and he looks like he belongs, like right away, and he sticks, then you take that and you run. And you
correct me if I'm wrong on this. You can't send him to the AHL.
He's not eligible. He's not eligible for the AHL. It's NHL or junior, in which at this point it's completely obvious he's playing on the Islanders this year. I mean, if he totally looks out of place and he bombs, then yeah, maybe he'll get sent back to junior. But right now, it's clear as day he's going to be a New York Islander. He'll determine the rest. But no, what Phil says is absolutely right. There's no disagreement there. I mean, for a young defenseman to make a transition, it's hard. And I think that's why they are good. They are starting him on the third pair with Scott Mayfield.
I think that's the right move.
With his skill level, though, I think if he shows that he can handle more, I don't think Wild's going to be afraid to utilize him more. The good thing is he has. Everyone thinks about Pelech, but on the left side ahead of him, he has Romanov that took big strides. I think Romanov is going to be the guy that truly plays against the other team's top line because he's a better skater than Pelech and he's more physical. And I think, he's also still fairly young. So I think Romanov is starting to emerge as the leader of that team defensively.
Is he playing with D'Angelo, Anthony?
Yeah, he is. Yep.
Probably your best bet, I would say, because that's what part of what we were talking about, like right before we went into the questions was, D'Angelo is, again, great puck mover, excellent power play option, really good at walking the line at the point, getting shots through to the net. But as we've seen over the years, and that one clip still goes around online of Sebastian Aho absolutely walking him in the bubble and then doing it again, 2 or 3 years later, I think it was. He pulled him with like the same exact move. It got him. But
Tony D's his role in this team is simply just going to be with Dobson not here and Schaefer being green. He's going to be the team's power play one quarterback. That's where he's starting on camp. And I think for him, if they can get 40 points out of him and provide offense, I think they understand who he is, and that's why Romanov will cover up for his defensive lapses. So, and he's on a 1-year deal. My guess is after this year, a guy like Keyshawn Aitchison or Isaiah George may, kind of take his spot and maybe he moves on. But for now, I think he's going to be their best option as like their number one point producer on the back end. I mean, obviously, short of Schaefer turning out to be the best offensive player, which will happen at some point.
Here's a question I have for you, just because it's just something I was thinking about. Is there any possible chance that Schaefer and Mayfield play so well together as a pairing that they start to, and maybe to help Pulock and Pelech too with their age and their injury history, kind of like even out the minutes a bit to a point where they're like the minutes are very close. There's a very minimal gap in minutes between the pairings, and Schaefer and Mayfield maybe start to take on tougher matchups as well. Like, because I think if anything, if that happens, that means things are going real well for the Islanders, I would say.
No, yeah, I think that's very possible. Mayfield before last year, when he was still on his old contract, a lot of us talked about, value-wise, he had one of the best contracts for what he brings. And then last year he played pretty much the whole year on a broken foot, and I think that's where the drop-off was. But for a big guy, Mayfield's not, he's not like Eric Cairns. He actually can move for his size. So I think if he's completely healthy, with his strength and size, I think, he can, be the other half of a pretty solid pairing with him and Schaefer. So I mean, if Pelech and Pulock still look like they, have those miles on the body and, they're not raising their game a little bit, I think they can certainly help take some of the tough assignments from them. But again, like I said, though, I do think Romanov's probably going to get the majority of the real tough matchups just because of his, mobility. I mean, Pelech is still really good positionally, and he's great with his stick, and he's not a bad skater either. It's just Romanov is so much more fleet of foot than he is. So why not? It makes sense to put the better skater and the more physical presence against some of the other players' top lines. But I mean, just like the Rangers, though, or some of these other teams, their defensive group has flaws. There's no doubt about it. For them, I think they're relying on Schaefer to really show his skill and hope that a guy like Mayfield rebounds and Pelech and Pulock stay healthy. But they're going to need that if they're going to want to have success, because there's no, Aitchison's not walking through the door till next year to add even more fresh legs. He's going to get sent back. Actually, Loss said today after tonight's game, he's going to be sent back to junior. They just want to get him that experience and get more looks for him. But
absolutely.
But for this year, it's just what you see is what they get.
Anthony, was there anybody that impressed you in the first game that sticks out other than Schaefer and what limited we were able to watch?
You know what? I liked the guy Luca Romano. They drafted him in the draft this year. Mark, you posted his shootout goal. That was gross. He's got good hands. I was impressed by him. Shabanov, I actually impressed me about him. We all knew about his skill level and how he can handle the puck, but I was impressed with how he engaged more. He wasn't afraid to make contact. He wasn't afraid to go to the dirty areas, and I think was salivating over that because again he's going to want to show that he could do more than just kind of ooh and ah. So I thought he was good for tonight. I know the Rangers are playing as well, but if you guys get a chance. Callum, because the game last night wasn't televised. You had to watch it through the app. Tonight, the Islanders are televised, and Callum Ritchie is going to be playing. So I'm curious to see Ritchie. He's going to center the top line tonight with Heineman and someone else because a lot of the guys who played the other day aren't playing tonight. But I'm very curious to see Cal Ritchie play tonight.
Yeah, and by the way, Christy is asking this one too, Anthony. What are the odds that the Islanders buy out Declare at year's end, in your opinion? Would depend on more so on a young player taking a spot or just him sucking that badly?
I think Duclair would have to have a miserable year for him to get bought out. I do. Like I'm talking like a real bad year. Other than that, they're not gonna buy him out. Like if he scores 15 to 20 goals playing on that third line with Pajot and Holmstrom, there's no way. He would have to, play like 70 plus games. He only has like 5 goals. Then maybe they would consider that. But other than that, I don't see that. I don't see that occurring. Although, again, Cole Eiserman, as we just mentioned, he very well, not this year, but next year, he might be a full-time NHLer. Anders Lee's contract is up. I mean, that could open up a spot on the wings for Cole Eiserman. If Cal Ritchie doesn't make the team this year, he's certainly going to be on the team at some point at the end of the year or next year. He's going to be a full-time player. And then don't forget, this is a good thing. Now the Islanders rebuilt the prospect pool so much. Don't forget, you have Danny Nelson coming up too, who is said to be he's going to be like a really good third line center one day in this league. So he's coming too. So yeah, some of these guys are going to get phased out over the next year, whether that's Pajot, Lee. Did Palmieri sign a 1 or 2 year deal when he just got re-signed? But that's a guy like him.
Palmieri is on a 2 year deal, $4.75 million.
Because 2 years. So
yeah, I could have sworn that he signed that deal was in place almost at the trade deadline. We reported a 2 year deal back then.
Yeah, it was pretty much rumor that Lou and him kind of had the framework of a deal, and then when Darche came, he got it over the finish line. But yeah, no, in relation to Duclair, I don't think he's going to get bought out short of a miserable year. But however, you are going to see some of the veterans that are on expiring deals leave in the next year or two to make room for some of these young guys they have coming up.
I would have a follow-up question to that. It's just that, and I talked about this with Mark before. How much is that coming back from that groin injury going to affect him? Because I mean, we've seen with Jaromir Jagr, like he had a nagging groin injury that plagued him for like a few years.
Yeah,
and you got to remember, like I think his was worse than Jagr's. He tore his groin completely off the damn.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
and for a powerful skater like Duclair, one, is that going to hamper his skating? And two, like, how is that going to affect him mentally? Because if he's not a big like physical like player, like is he going to be thinking in his mind that the next weird hit that he takes can re-injure that same injury, and then he's out for a while? Like I don't know how I see that working. I think that's going to be something that's going to be in his mind. And I mean, obviously you don't want to see the guy get hurt again, but this is a physical league. Like anything can happen, and the weirdest little play can end up in a major injury like that.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think they're playing it safe with him. Like Duclair didn't play in the game the other night. He's not playing tonight, but Wah said that he expects Duclair to play against the Rangers. Was on Thursday they play. I think he expects him to play then. So you could tell they're trying to just kind of bring him along slow and make sure that he doesn't tweak something before the season even starts. But that's a valid concern. When you're growing off the bone, when you're known to be when skating is your strong point, that certainly is a concern. But from all accounts, he's healthy. He's in camp. He's participating in the drills, and you just got to hope that he's well enough that he can play his game with confidence. Because you said, I think any athlete, the worst thing you can do is like think about your injury and worrying about getting hurt, because that's usually when you do get hurt again, when you play safe and you're cautious because you're worried about injuring yourself again. That's usually when these type of things happen. I think for him to have success, he's got to try to move past that and not think about it, because if he does, I think it's going to affect his game. But he's going to be, I'm not saying he's a huge part of the team, but he's a guy, I think when they signed him, they were hoping he can give at least 20 goals. So I think they're hoping that he can be a third line producer and give secondary scoring, because they're going to need that.
I also got to add on to that. I don't think they buy him out, because I think Darche will find a way to move him via trade.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mark. I think he's movable by trade.
I mean, it's not like Anthony Duclair hasn't been traded. I mean, he's been passed around pretty good around the league.
Yeah.
And there are multiple teams that have reacquired. I think a couple teams reacquired him. I mean, he's got that ability to at least go to a new team and acclimate quickly and then put up some good numbers. Again, we wish nothing but the best for Anthony Duclair. So hopefully
he is a buyout friendly contract though.
Yeah,
he does have one. So like his $3.5 million is on the books for another 2 years after this. So let's just say they get through this year. That would be 4 years of a cap hit of 1.166667 million. Basically $1,166,667 would be his cap hit, his dead cap. So I mean that's not a really a bad thing, but I still think you could probably find a team that would take him on. And I mean, even if you retain just a very, very small amount of that, I think it's a palatable contract that can be moved. I think the term is more of an issue than the AAV.
Yeah, I agree with that because the AAV in a rising cap isn't really that significant.
It's almost to the point of being negligible.
Yeah.
But, I would say the term would probably hinder more teams than anything. I think if you retain on that, you might be able to get some teams to bite at maybe a third and maybe a prospect. So,
what's that term? What's that saying, Phil? It's not the AAV; it's the term that gets you.
Well, that's why I say like I always looked at the Barclay Goodrow contract. The first thing I said when they got him was you got to win on one of three fronts: AAV, trade protection, and term. And if you win on those, I mean, if you win on at least one of them, you're good. And I mean, he doesn't have trade. Actually, no, he does have trade protection. I'm sorry. He has a full no trade for this year, and then the last 2 years of the deal, it's a modified no trade for 27 and 28. But it doesn't say what his. It doesn't say what his trade is for after this year. It doesn't give you the list of teams or how many teams it is. Right? It's not going to give you the list of teams, but it doesn't say how many teams the modified no trade is.
What was missed this? What was your guys' take on this topic? What did you guys say on this one?
Contract and Barzal moving back to center is what's going to.
I think, I personally would have him at the. Sorry, Mark. I would have him at the. I'd have him playing at the AHL. If you're going to play him 13 minutes a game, just give him 20 minutes in the AHL. Let him develop.
I agree with that.
Sorry, Mark.
Yeah.
The interesting thing was that Matt, when asked about him before camp, Mathieu Darche simply said, if he plays his way on the team, he'll find a way to make room for him on the roster. Which, if you read between the lines, I think that means trade JG Pageau because he's a center. But we'll see if that ends up happening.
Well, Pageau could go to the wing because I think he played the wing in Ottawa, right?
But that doesn't solve anything. They're going because it's still a numbers game. If Pageau goes to wing, that's still forward. You have to bump out of the lineup. Because if you look at it, Drouin, Horvat, Shabanov, Lee Palmieri, Barzal, and then you have Duclair, Pageau, Holmstrom, and then Heineman, Cizikas, and Siplikov. So none of those. He's not a fourth line player, so moving a fourth doesn't really do anything. So yeah, his only path is Pageau is a guy like Pageau gone. So we'll see if he can. If he can do it.
Yeah, I mean it's not a question. Again, it's not. We said this a couple different times, Anthony. It's not a question of the players. It's a question of where they could slot in. Because I forgot who we said that about too. And by the way, when we were talking about Mathieu Schaefer before, one guy that I forgot to bring up was Moritz Seider, who had a great rookie season and kind of regressed and hasn't really gotten back to that. So, I mean, I know Phil's kind of grimacing.
It's just because of the age difference of when they made their debuts. That's why.
Okay.
It's because Seider was, 21, I think, when he made his debut? And he's 24 now. So, yeah, he was 20 when he made his debut. But, I mean, he had a 50-point season and won the Calder, and rightfully so. He was very good. I still think he's very good. It's just Detroit needs to have more offensive talent there, but he's had 40-plus points in every year. His defense is solid, and I think now with him playing with Simon Edvinsson, I think he's going to be a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yes.
I know we'll save Puck Doku and whatnot for tomorrow's main show, but I brought a blind ranking for you. As you know, I always like to do.
Oh yeah.
And being that this is Islander preview, it's going to be the top 10 Islander players, but I want you to consider this not their whole career. Like I'm just going to use an example. Yevgeny Nabokov, you're not ranking him as career total. You're going to rank him on what he did with the Islanders specifically, not overall.
Okay.
Got it?
Okay.
All right.
So it's specifically their Islanders career.
Say that again?
Specifically their Islanders career.
Yes.
Well, again, Yevgeny Nabokov played very well for the Islanders. But that's
he absolutely did. And then what's funny about him is that, obviously, if you remember, he didn't want to come to the team.
Yeah.
They told his contract, and then when he eventually came, he re-signed because he loved it so much, which, as you know, often happens with the Islanders. They get there and then they realize, it's a great place to live and play.
So we're talking about best career Islanders here?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was answering something on social media.
10th here. Let's see. Who should I give Mark here?
And by the way, the funny thing about that is Visnovsky was right after that, where he got claimed on waivers, didn't want to come to the Islanders, came, and then became a fixture. So, I mean, once guys get to Long Island, and especially at that era where there was less certainty, now you're talking about a top 10 valued franchise in the NHL.
This was not the same player by the time he came to the Islanders.
No, but still something.
I mean,
it's not like back in the day.
Fourth in the Norris voting in 2011 and had 68 points, and that was his best year, by far. And that was the year that Corey Perry scored 50 goals and won the Hart. No.
All right, Mark, you ready?
Oh yeah. By the way, it's not like the days of Tim Thomas as a New York Islander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Marcus. We're going to kick it off with Tom Chorsky.
Tom Chorsky, pretty much
He's actually decent as an Islander. And we're talking Islander time only, right?
Yeah.
He was decent as an Islander. It was short-lived.
It was the Fisherman days. I remember that. So Chorsky,
36
Islander,
84 games. No, it's not terrible.
Oh yeah, 82 games, 12 points, 23 assists.
Then he was traded the next year.
36. I could see. Yeah, it was over.
I confused him with Tom Curvers for a second. I was like, yeah, I forgot it's Chorsky.
Yeah, but Chorsky wasn't bad. I'll put Chorsky at 8, Anthony.
Chorsky for me. Go 7.
Tom Pody.
Ooh, he was bad as a New York Islander as well. Pody.
He wasn't the way he was with the Rangers. He was.
Yeah, but that was his prime. He had 1 year with the Islanders. He had 44 points in 77 games.
That's actually a good offensive season. That's actually his second highest total too.
Yeah. I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I'll go all the way up to 4. I think I need to create some leeway. He was good as an Islander. Granted, it was one season, but he didn't have any bad seasons with the Islanders. I'll put it that way.
Anthony has a history of
We're gonna
He's gonna
call
pull the carpet here.
Yeah, it's shenanigans and tomfoolery here. I'm gonna go 3.
Ooh, all right.
I'm gonna go 3.
Cloyd Loisel.
He was a depth player, but not a bad one by any means. But I think I might have to put him behind. I would have to put him behind Shorsky.
Yeah, I gotta go 9.
I'm gonna go 10 for him.
You know what? Wait, Anthony, can I make it 10?
You want to make it 10?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 10 here.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah. Not exactly impressive numbers.
He ended his career as an Islander, but he had some good years with the Devils where he scored, almost 20 goals, 16 goals, 17 goals.
Right, but as a New York Islander,
Yeah. Mikko Makela.
Oh God, that's somebody you could also probably put at 10 too.
Actually, be surprised. Look at the good old Makela's.
Phil, he had a 36 goal season with the Islanders.
36 goal season?
Yeah, Mikko Makela started with the New York Islanders. 16.
Oh no, I'm looking at I'm looking at something different.
Yeah, that's why I was like, wait a minute.
Never mind. I'm looking at something.
All right, now we got a guy that's got a 36 goal season. 16 30. By the way, that year 36, 40, 76.
He was a point per game player that year. I mean,
I gotta put.
I'm gonna put him at 1.
I'm gonna put him at 3. I'm gonna have faith. Anthony kind of throws.
I'm gonna put him at 1.
Better
I
names out there.
don't think we're getting a better one on this countdown.
I think you're right, but I gotta roll the dice.
Craig Janney.
Wow,
Was a great player. Was an underrated player in his prime, and that was a guy that he's one of the few Americans that has a 100-point season under his belt. So, almost a point per game player for his career, 751 and 760. That 92-93 season, 106 points, 82 assists that year, 84 games. But as an Islander, it was one season, and he played 5 games. Who did I put at 9?
You have no, you don't have anybody at 9. You have Loisel at 10 and Shorsky at 7.
I'm gonna go Janney at 9 then, because he played a cup of coffee with them. He had 5 points in 18 games. I'm 9. Sorry, 9.
I remember the game that I was at for the New York Islanders. Pretty good seats. And I'll mention who debuted that game. But I looked at that bench. I went, they got Craig Janney on that bench. What the hell? Why can't they come on? Why isn't this team any better? And I think at the time it was when Milbury had like 9,000 assistant coaches because they thought about reimagining how coaching is done in the NHL. Milstein and Gluckstern. That was the game that Pavel Bure debuted with the Florida Panthers and beat Felix Potvin. So I still can't believe Craig Janney was even on that team. So I think there's going to be somebody worse, Anthony. I think you're going to give me somebody worse. So I'm going to have to go 7.
7. All right. Don't forget, you still have 9 available because you moved Loisel from 9 to 10.
I know. And see, this is where the blind rankings hurting me.
Yeah. All right. Dick Tarnstrom.
He was actually pretty good as an Islander, and then he had that season where we were like 50 points in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he was in 04 when Lemieux basically missed like all the year, and he led the team in scoring, I think. But with the Islanders, he was up and coming, and it looked like he was going to be a pretty good puck mover. I know it was only 1 year, and he had 19 points, but I do remember him looking pretty good for them. And then the next 2 years is when he took off.
Yep.
41 points in 61 games and 52 in 80 games. I'm going to put Tarnstrom at do I have 3 open?
No, you have Pody at 3.
So I have 2 and 4. I'm going to put him at 4.
4. Okay.
This is the funny thing, Anthony, because this is where the eye test comes in. I agree with Filk. I remember being impressed with Dick Tornstrom. So what do I have? I got 5 and 6.
You have 1, 2, 5, 6, and 9.
I'll put him at 5. Eye test says 5.
Okay. Next up, Randy Wood.
Ooh, Miles Wood's father.
Yes, and Phil, he also holds the significance of being the first ever penalty shot Mike Richter faced in the NHL.
Wait, oh no, he's not related to Miles. It's saying, I thought he was related to Miles.
Yeah, wait, I thought.
No, he's the Wood that got drafted by the Predators. He's his son, I think.
Oh, Matthew Wood is his son. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought Miles Wood was his son. All right.
No, I screwed up. But 38, 28, 48, 42, and then 40 between the Islanders and Buffalo and 92. Do I have 5 open?
You do.
I'll go 5.
I'm going to go the other direction. I'll go 2. I'm not sure if I'm going to get I think one better player than this, but you look at a guy, 22 goals, 20 plus goals, all but one of his years with the New York Islanders. And then after if I want to say when the Islanders traded him, he was in the Benoit Hogue deal. Benoit Hogue, Pierre Turgeon, Pat LaFontaine, everybody in the world got traded in that deal. So I got to give him credit on that one. So next one, Anthony.
Sergei Nemchinov.
And what do I have open?
You have 2, 6, and 8.
I loved Nemchinov as a Ranger. He was not the same with the Islanders. Still was not a bad bottom 6 option, but he was not the same player at that point. He only lasted a season or like a half there. I gotta go. You said I have 2, 6, and 8.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 8.
Anthony, I just got 6 as my lowest one, right?
No, you have 9 because you had Loisel originally at 9, but you moved him to 10.
Yeah, he was a minus 17. I'll put him at 9. Nemchinov then was traded away from the Islanders, where he went on to win the Stanley Cup again with the New Jersey Devils.
Next up, Victor Kozlov.
See, this is where it gets complicated because I don't know if we're going to find another better player on this list. His 1 year with the Islanders is actually decent too. 25 goals and 51 points. I remember one of my memories was going to all those Islander games during those like first 2 years back from the lockout with you. And like going up to the glass and warm-ups and fucking looking up at Victor Kozlov. I tell you, like in terms of skates, like I never got to see Chara up that close.
Yeah.
But Kozlov was the biggest guy, and he was like 6'6". He was like the biggest guy that I think I've seen up close like that in a warm-up. And I tell you, man, he was a massive human being. I'm gonna put him at 2.
He had good hands too.
He did have very good hands. Played with Pablo Burr in Florida.
I got to say this. You look at his career stats, his best goal-scoring season of his career was where he was wearing the orange and blue. I'm going to put him at number 1.
Right.
I'm going to put him at number 1 because I have a feeling like we're going to get like
we're gonna get fucking like Mick Dakota as one of them. Yeah,
I know it was the last one.
Yeah.
Well, last and not least, Brian Smolinski.
I have 6 open.
Yeah.
Same
Same
as
as
mine.
Mark.
I'm okay with him at 6. It's fine. I would have probably had him higher depending with the others on the list, but I mean, he had some good years with the Islanders. I'm okay with that. But
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
not Boston Bruins Smolinski.
He
Yeah.
had 56 points where he was a part of that line with Palpy.
And Robert Reichel.
And Robert Reichel. That was the trade that nearly got the Islanders in the playoffs
Yeah.
in 1997.
Yeah. The following year, he was nearly at 43 points.
And then he came back in 99-2000 with a 56-point season. 2001, LA made the playoffs that year, I believe, as well, and he had 59 points. And then he had a little bit of a I don't want to say maybe a renaissance, but he had a nice year with Ottawa right after the – actually, he had 2 nice years with Ottawa in 04 and 06.
Yeah.
And then he went to Chicago, and they dealt him to Vancouver.
And you remember who the Islanders traded for him, right?
That was it. That was what?
To get Smolinski, who the Islanders traded away.
That was the Palpy
that was with a trade with.
That was with he got traded with Palpy.
Palpy, yeah, no, he
Nope.
did. It was.
Yeah,
it
he
was,
did. He got
was
traded.
Darius
Hold my memory
Kasparaitis.
on this, so I'm gonna double check it right now.
It was Kasparaitis that he
That's
was in
it.
that trade.
Oh, you saying who they got? Oh, I thought you were saying, I thought you were asking who they traded.
Yeah,
him.
Yeah, it was the Darius Kasparaitis
Yeah.
trade to Pittsburgh that they.
Yeah.
And he was good in
And-
Pittsburgh too.
And I forgot about this. Andreas Johansson also came to the Islanders.
Yeah,
then.
former Ranger.
Oh wait,
yeah,
no.
former Ranger too. Yeah.
Yeah, Johansson went away from the Islanders in that trade.
You know, my best memory of Victor Kozlov was that
4-goal game.
what?
The 4-goal game against the Rangers.
I don't know. Honestly, there was that game, but he was. Remember when they got into the playoffs the last day of the season because on the Wade Dubelix Pochek
Oh, against the Devils, yeah.
in the shootout. Obviously, they needed that game. Him and Shatan went in the shootout, and like he just scored emphatically. He just like put on a really good move and slammed it home. And I just remember that because we needed it so much, and he just burnt the goaltender they had there. So, but yeah, no, I liked him. He was definitely a big guy, like you said, going up to the glass and staying him. But
Is Brian Smolinski the most underrated American-born player of all time?
Craig Janney.
Yeah, you just spoke about Craig Janney
Craig
before.
Janney, probably, yeah, Craig Janney, yeah. That's another good one.
Almost Tom Barrasso.
No, Hall of Famer can't be underrated if he's in the
I know,
Hall.
but it's like people forget he was drafted number 1 overall. That he won. I remember years ago.
Yeah,
they were talking
he's
about-
one of the rare few to win a Vezina as a rookie in the Calder. Yep.
and he had back-to-back Stanley Cup wins. NHL Network, we're talking about it with Jonathan Quick. They're like, how many American goalies have 2 Stanley Cups? And they couldn't remember Tom Barrasso, who not only won, but won 2 back-to-back. And possibly could have won a 3rd if not for those meddling kids on Long Island.
Well, yeah, I mean, I tell you right now, there are 2 guys that took them out of that series and just gave Mario Lemieux hell. It was between Kasparaitis and Pilon, and they were
Yeah.
big. They were big. I mean, and obviously, friend of the show had something to do with that. Ray Ferraro, and the way that he played against Francis and Lemieux was big. When you go out there and you match 2 of the best centers in the world, and you can play damage control with them the way that he did, you have a good chance of winning a series against a team.
Before Anthony says anything, with all due respect to the rest of his career, I think that's the best coaching job Al Arbor's ever done.
Yeah, I mean, he had those crazy teams on the island, and they stifled the Oilers in '83. So, I mean, I would say maybe that's number 1 for me if I'm talking about Al Arbor's mastery, because I don't think any of the other teams they faced were nearly as good as those Oilers.
But you did that all without your 130-point scorer. So,
yeah, I mean,
They
I
didn't
would
have Serge
say
on that
that,
series.
and then maybe if you want to say Ferraro Absolutely. And the job that they did overall in general against Pittsburgh, that would probably be my number 2, I would say. Oh, Anthony's scheming up another blind ranking, isn't he?
No, not blind ranking. I'm seeing if I could stump you and Mark for that matter, but I'm just trying to make sure I have
okay.
All right. Nice little bit.
Yeah, the Flyers were a team. I'm not saying they weren't a good team, but they weren't as good as those 83 Oilers. Those 83 Oilers were unbelievable, and a lot of people thought that they could win that cup. Those 80 Flyers, I don't look at them in the same light as I looked at even maybe the 76 Flyers when they went up against the Canadiens and lost. And again, I'll always talk about this hit because it's legendary. Larry Robinson on Gary Dornhofer. And he hit the guy so damn hard that they had to repair the boards in the middle of the game. That changed an entire series. That's why open ice hitters are still important. Because one hit can change a game. And one hit can change a series.
That's true.
Scott Stevens on Eric Lindros, even though I think he followed through with that elbow, he knocked Lindros right out. And I always said I did not like Lindros coming back for that Game 7. I really wish that they would have just kept Lindros out. I think the Devils would have won that series. I mean,
Yeah, but then
Flyers would've won
also
that series.
with Philadelphia in their position, they were still trying to think maybe where they can throw them in there and everything's gonna be fine. And maybe there was a little bit of a
Bobby Clark by the time 1980
Yeah.
came around was not the same
All
player.
right, hold on.
all right. So what do you got, Ant?
No, I was talking to Ella. I'll one second.
No,
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up very soon, guys. We're about to hit 3 hours.
I mean,
Yeah.
Ken Linsman was their leading scorer with 22 goals and 79 points. Reggie Leach had a 50-goal season. But, I mean, Brian Propp, 34 goals, 75 points. Billy Barber, 40 goals, 72 points. Rick McLeish, 31 goals, 66 points. Paul Holmgren, 30 goals, 65 points. But a lot of these guys, they were not the same team at that point. So,
By the way, which Kozlov had the better career, Vyacheslav Kozlov or Victor?
Slava. For sure, Slava.
Even though when he left the Red Wings,
Slava was one of the more underrated players of his time.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I'll die on that hill. 853 points, 356 goals, and 1,182 games, and was a key part of the Russian Five. When he came over to Detroit in that 92-93 season, you started seeing some glimpses in that brief time that he was up. And then the next year in 94, 34 goals and 73 points in 77 games. And then 36 goals and 73 points in 96. That was a guy that could give you anywhere from 55 to 75 points a year, and even had an 80-point season in Atlanta in 2007 as a 34-year-old. And then had a 76-point season as a 36-year-old in Atlanta in 09. Yeah, Slava Kozlov was the far better player, and he was also one of the more underrated players of his time.
All right, Mark. There were 23 defensemen that played for both the Islanders and the Rangers. How many of them can you name?
23 defensemen.
That played for both
23
teams.
defensemen. All right, so let's start with Rich Pilon.
Pilon, Kasparaitis,
Kasparaitis, Malakov,
Pody,
Pody,
Joel Bouchard.
Joel
Bouchard.
That's another good one.
So there's 5 right away.
We need 18 more.
Thomas Pock.
Yep. Yeah, good. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Eric Cairns.
Yep.
Dallas Eakins.
Wow. Yeah. Good one. Yeah. When I was looking it up, I didn't realize that. Yeah. I would say there's probably 1, 2, 3 people I don't think that you guys would get. The rest, I think there are players that we all very much know.
Yeah.
Yuri Niemi never played for both teams, but he was a part of both teams' property.
So far we only got 10 so far, right?
Yeah. The question was, there are 23 NHL defensemen that played for both the Rangers and Islanders. That's what they're trying to.
Okay.
Randy Moeller?
No.
No, not Randy.
No, I know he was a Ranger. I didn't know he was
right
not a. He went to Buffalo after the Rangers.
I'm running through a lot of these guys right now.
Let's see here.
Devils guys keep popping into my mind, like Bruce Driver, but he never.
No, not Bruce Driver.
I'll give you a hint. One of them.
Wait.
Was an what?
Wait, hold on.
Were you
Hey, Phil, Kobe Baker Trophy winner.
What? Mike Motto.
Yeah,
Mike Motto.
One of them was an Islander captain.
Wait. Hold on. No, that's Pat Flatley. That's a forward. That's not it.
He's very briefly, he was captain.
Very briefly, the captain?
Oh, Brian McCabe.
Brian McCabe.
Yeah, Brian McCabe. I'm trying to get him on the show.
Yeah, that's a good
one. You know what? Sorry, there's another one. I wasn't counting for McCabe. There's another one. He was an Islander captain.
I don't think he's an Islander captain in this case, but Phil, what about an Islander? Sorry, one of the Islanders. Sorry, one of the number 1 overall draft picks to play for the New York Rangers and New York Islanders. I think he might be the only one. He was the number 1 draft
Roman
pick.
Hammerlick.
Roman
Hammerlick, yeah.
So, do you know how many we're at, Anthony?
You need 1, 2, 11 more.
11 more.
Right.
You said it was another captain?
Islander captain, the one you were referring to is McCabe?
No, yes, there was another one in addition.
There's another Islander captain that played for.
Yeah.
It's not Kenny Johnson. I know about it.
No, it's not.
When was he a captain? Hold on. Like what time frame? Not.
So the hint I will give you is that he lives in the state that we live in, and he played for the Islanders in the mid-90s.
Mathieu Schneider.
Yes.
He wasn't a captain though.
Yeah, he wore the C very briefly.
When?
Probably after Kurt Muller got moved. Mathieu Schneider. Oh, Alexander Karpatsev.
Yes.
Yes, that's another one. Great call, Mark.
By the way, rest his soul.
I feel like there's an LA King somewhere in there. There's a player that played for the Kings, Islanders, and the Rangers. Why am I? That's a defenseman. It's not
Josh Green did that, but he's not a defenseman.
It's not Beshkov, not Matthias Nordstrom. I'm thinking a King.
Some more hints. You got Hammerlick, but you're forgetting a really, 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 really high draft pick played for both teams.
Time frame?
And when I'm talking about really high, I'm talking about a first overall pick.
What the?
You're gonna kick yourself once you
got Hammerlick already.
Phil, Anthony's laughing and he's 100% right. First, I've broken this question out before at the bar. First overall draft pick, and a matter of fact, the first overall draft pick and the second overall. Oh no, technically the second overall draft pick was only in preseason.
Yes,
the New York Islanders and the New York Rangers.
Yeah,
so it's only the first overall draft pick.
Mark's got it.
I got it.
They were traded for each other, Phil.
and their defenseman.
Yeah, but the one, like Mark said, never played for the Islanders a regular season game.
In regular season.
Only
I watched the
preseason.
Islanders win that game in overtime. And he's the second overall pick was how about this? The guy came to the New York Islanders in a multi-team trade, which included Martin Straka going to the Islanders.
Brian Berard.
Yes. Brian Berard.
Yep. Brian Berard. I was thinking, and then you said earlier, and then you get the time frame, and that's why I went.
So there's 9 more.
9 more. Wow.
9
more of this.
One of them's a current. One of them still plays on the Islanders, and then there was one of them that was a member of the Rangers last year.
Phil, come on,
Tony DeAngelo.
Yeah, Tony DeAngelo.
And then he was a member of the Rangers last year.
Yep.
Yeah, hold on. Adam Fox, kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
Hold on a second.
He was a member of the Rangers last year. It's not Vakanainen.
No.
It is.
Who else did they get? Not Carson Soucy.
It's not no, it's not Carson.
No.
It's not Chad Ruedel.
Yeah, it is Chad Ruedel.
No, it's not.
No, sorry. I'm thinking of the forward that was there. It's the that was on the Islanders. Damn it! What the hell is his name?
Shit.
Who was that guy that? Now I'm trying to know. He was
I know. All right, so it's a depth defenseman that came in and played a couple of games with them, and I'm trying to fucking remember who it is too. He's
Phil, think about somebody that complained about the island complained about the Rangers and the way things were run.
Oh, Calvin DeHaan.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Calvin DeHaan.
That's why I said I knew it was a depth defense when I was in the right place.
You're down to 7. Let's see if we can give you one of these players that played for both teams. He shares the same last name as a Ranger goaltender. A notable one too.
Barry Richter?
Yes.
Barry Richter. Oh my God. Wow, Barry Richter.
Barry Richter, who won. I actually completely forgot that he was a New York Islander ever.
I forgot he was an Islander too. I remember him as a Ranger in the mid-90s. Like,
yeah, he got the key to the city, and I still don't know why.
Maybe he was.
It has to be like 96, 97 or in that area.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, 90. I think his debut was in the 95, 96. And then 96, 97, he was with the Bruins. Wow. Okay.
So you got 6. There's still the 3 that I don't think you would get, but there's 3 other ones. One of them, he was on the Rangers, I think the same year where Marek Malik pulled the shootout goal. He was on
Jason
that.
Strudwick?
Yeah, look at that. Yep. Jason
As a matter of fact, Jason Strudwick was the one that
scored the tying goal.
Before.
Do you know who put the
team?
Do you know who put the Capitals ahead?
I forget that one all the time.
It was Brian Muir.
Yeah.
It was just a simple wrist shot that put him that got past Henrik Lundqvist.
Mick Vukota wasn't a defenseman, and I don't think he played for the Rangers. Mick
Vukota never played for the Rangers.
I'm trying to think if Mick Vukota played for anybody else.
He wasn't a defenseman. He was a forward. He was a fighter.
All right. So the two more that you guys have heard of. I'll try to give you some hints here, without giving it away too much. All right. So this one guy, he played for the Rangers, only 1 year. His previous team was the Phoenix Coyotes. And
Paul Mara?
What?
Paul Mara?
No, Holmstrom never played for the Islanders.
Never played off. Shit.
And Paul Mara played for the Rangers multiple years. Anthony said it's only one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he played for the Coyotes the year before he came to the Rangers. And he's mostly known for being a Blue. He played the last 6 years of his career in St. Louis before retiring in 2004.
Jeff Finley?
Yes. Look at you.
Wow.
Wow.
The only reason I knew that was because you said Blue. And
Yeah.
that's the only reason I knew Finley was a Ranger and an Islander, but when you said Blue, that was what keyed me. It wasn't. I wouldn't have gotten that off the Arizona. When you said Blues, I was like Jeff Finley. That was it.
Yeah.
By the way, I still find this funny that Mick Vukota he's played 10 years of his career with the Islanders. He did play for Tampa Bay and Montreal. But
How
this is
many
what
do we
I
have
find
left?
funnier. He had 16 goals as a New York Islander in his career and has the fastest hat trick ever in Islanders history.
Yes, I do know about Vukota, which you would never think.
How many do we have left?
All right, so you have 4. The one guy that you guys heard of, the hint on him is they actually played for the Rangers and the Islanders in the same year, as well as the third team. He also played for the Florida Panthers that same year.
It was 2013.
No. I was saying he played
No.
for 3. He played for 3 teams in the same
year.
season. The Islanders. He played for the Islanders, Rangers, and Panthers all in one season. And it was the early 2000s. He also played for the Boston Bruins and the Anaheim Ducks.
Early 2000s, played for the Rangers, Islanders, and Panthers. Igor Ulanov?
No, he never played for the Islanders, but good guess.
No.
That's why.
I wanted to say about almost
Panthers.
Matt Gilroy, but that was not going to come out right because he never played for Florida
Well, it's also early 2000s. Gilroy didn't make his debut until 2009.
until like 2009.
His last name is also like 2 syllables, if you will. It's like, I don't know how to give a hint without. For instance, it's not just like Berard or Jones. It's something is his last name. So he's got his first name and then
Not like Johnny is Wah, right?
but like that kind of thing. That's his name, like that. 2.
Not Dan Ritchie, obviously. He's a center also.
It's not Jean-Luc Grandpierre because I don't think he played for either team.
No, I don't think
You had me thinking like 2 syllables.
The Islanders and Rangers both. The Rangers acquired him by clearing him off waivers from Boston.
The Rangers acquired him.
Yeah,
Right.
off waivers from the Bruins.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Ranger claims from.
This is a good one getting all the way down to this. We wanted to do some of these.
He actually had a 28
Ooh,
point.
Darren Van Imp.
Yeah. Darren Van Imp. Yeah.
Yep, that was 2002, 2003, I think.
0102.
0102. Okay.
Yeah.
And the last 3, I've never heard of him. Maybe you have Mike McEwen.
I've heard of Mike McEwen.
Mike
very
McEwen. I'm thinking of
Bert Marshall and Paul Boutillier.
No, I wouldn't get those.
Yeah.
I know back in the days of Mark's weekly trivia, I gave you guys who was the first player to play for the Islanders and Rangers in the same year.
It wasn't Troy Loney, was it?
It was Troy Loney.
Okay.
Because I think he made his debut with the Rangers, I want to say game 1 against Quebec. So, yeah.
I was about to say Troy Loney. I remember him with Anaheim. I know he was with Pittsburgh for a while, but I remember him with Anaheim when I first started watching, really. But I know he played for the Rangers very, very briefly the year after they won.
By the way, Steve Ruchin only played for the Rangers and the Ducks.
No, he didn't. He played for the Thrashers.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, he played against them in that 06-07 playoff series. That was his last year.
Yeah. And Snark, good to see you.
Hey, Snarky, we will. Yeah, I saw his comment. He's me and him have had little jokes on Twitter about this, but we'll be doing that more tomorrow, Snarky.
Yeah. And also, just to mention in on it real quick, obviously it's big news that happened. We'll talk more about the passing of Bernie Perrance, Heaven taking just the greatest goaltenders of all time in the last couple weeks.
I did forget one guy. Have you guys heard of Yari Grandstrand?
Nope.
Yeah,
that's the name that I'm not. He must have played less than like 10 games with both.
He played for the Rangers in 87, 88, 62 games. Then he played for the Islanders in 90, 91.
That's not a player I would remember.
So
I mean, it's funny. It's funny, Anthony, how we're talking about players that we don't remember, and Phil was able to bring up the only goalie to win the Hart Trophy and not the Stanley Cup today. That would happen.
No, it was the only goalie to
born.
win the Hart Trophy and miss the playoffs. It was Al Rollins.
Yeah.
But the only goalie to win the Vezina and miss the playoffs was Roy Waters.
Yeah. That was like 1941, you said, right?
1930. 31, sorry.
Ooh.
I was literally going back looking through it because it was something I researched a while ago, and I didn't get to finish the research on it. And then someone asked the question in the chat. I was just like, whoa. I was like, let me actually do this because you were talking. I was like, all right, you know what?
Yeah. And Anthony, one thing Vilk and I discussed was talking about doing a video of the greatest shootouts in NHL history, or hockey history.
Yeah.
Say, based on their historical significance or even the quality of the shootout. And there's a lot of good ones I could think of because obviously one of the ones the reason why I thought about this was for the Czech Republic versus Canada in 1998 in Nagano. But then you have obviously Lillehammer, you have a bunch of these. Like a lot of people forget who Tommy Salo stopped. Or no, sorry, not even that. Well, everybody forgets who Tommy Salo stopped, but everybody else forgets who Peter Forsberg scored on in that famous stand.
It was Corey Hirsch.
It was Corey Hirsch.
Yeah, and then it's funny because I saw an interview with him a couple of years back on YouTube, and he was talking about how he gets reminded of being the guy that Peter Forsberg scores on, and how he feels about being at the on the stamp, and he's kind of like okay with it, not like it's not that he liked losing, but he's like, you know what, it took a hell of a move to beat me. It's on a stamp. I'm a part of one of the biggest moments in Olympic history. Like, what am I going to do? Get mad at it at this point?
Yeah.
Come to terms, basically.
I mean,
And,
Ralph
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, Ralph Branca said the same thing. It was like lots of people get remembered, or even Bill Buckner eventually said it. So lots of people get remembered for a lot less.
Yeah, I mean, like, if it was just like a regular shot or maybe even a flubbed shot that beat him, like, you'd be like, okay, like, even like or a mess up or something like that beat him or something like that.
Yeah.
Would you rather be Corey Hirsch, or would you rather be Tommy Salo with Ruslan Saleh upsetting you with Belarus with that goal that he let up? I'd rather be Corey Hirsch.
That's still one of the most infamous soft goals ever.
Yeah.
Because it fell behind him, and if I recall correctly, he swats it into his own net.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That pretty much ended. I mean, after that, he wasn't the same goaltender.
Yeah.
But it's like Michigan in the Russian goalie that was the backup to Vladislav Tretiak.
Tretiak, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he came. He lost the Canada Cup in '87, and he was never the same after.
But yeah, again, everybody's just gonna remember him as being the guy that replaced Tretiak. I always remember the line from the X-Files episode about the history of the cigarette man, and one of their best episodes ever. And one of the things they say in there is small nerve toxin behind the goaltender of the U.S.
Sorry, it wasn't Michigan. Michigan was the back of the Tretiak. He came into the Miracle game. It was what the hell was it? Oh, Boloshkin, I think. Sorry.
So then after that, never mind. How would you describe the rest of his career? Just say his name. All right.
Yeah.
I guess we'll cut this one here, guys.
Yep.
Because, I mean, after all, we're going to be right back at this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we were able to get Anthony back and get some of his predictions on. We're going to lose him next week when we do the full NHL interview, or the preview.
Yeah.
But, Anthony, we will have your picks on everything that we're going to be going with. And you'll still be here in spirit as you're living it up across the world.
Crossing the pond for the first time, yeah.
Is it your first time across the pond?
Yeah.
Right.
You've been?
I've been to London. I've been to Northern Ireland.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
My wife has been to Ireland and Italy. So I would love to get to Italy at some point. We are going to get there.
What part of Italy did she go to?
Sicily.
Sicily. Okay. Yeah, I definitely want to go to Sicily too.
Oh, she's also been to Paris, and she loves Paris.
Yeah, that's where. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to have a great time when you're there.
Yeah.
So
looking forward to it.
And still got to figure out another game or what my first game to go see is. I'm going to actually see Nate Bargatze on Saturday. So I can't, or Bargatze. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I never know. So maybe I'll find that out.
Good job, Mark.
Yeah, well, I find him funny. I don't need to know how to pronounce his name. All right.
The Rangers icing a NHL lineup tonight, or are they playing a lot of young?
Well, Gavrikov and Fox is going to be the top pairing tonight.
Okay.
Hold on. I somebody posted the rosters before, I think. I thought I just got a text before with somebody with the rosters.
Yeah, the Islanders are starting David Ritchie in goal again, so he's playing in back-to-back games, getting a good look at him.
Can they actually manage to carry him if Varlamov is healthy?
Yeah, but I don't think Varlamov's not. He's not like participating in. He's been like kind of just like skating on his own and facing shots. He hasn't joined the group and stuff. So I highly doubt he's going to be ready to start the season as the backup. So.
All right, so yeah, the game group for tonight, forwards, we're looking at Anton Bleed, Justin Dowling, Adam Sikora, Sankarak, Noah Laba, Yaroslav Malash, Will Cooley, Trey Fix, Wolanski, Brett Berard, Yusso Parsonen, Brendan Hoffman, Brendan Brisson, and Gabe Perreault. So the forwards are lacking. There's no big forwards there outside of Will Cooley. And then the defense is Fox, Robertson, Schuster, Gavrikov, Scott Morrow, Blake Hillman, and Jackson Dorrington, who they got in the that's a Vitaly Kravtsov trade? No. No. That's William Lockwood, I think they got back.
You got to wonder exactly what the future holds for Matthew Robertson. Is there really a spot for him?
I don't think he has.
Yeah, I put him in the same category as Zach Jones. I feel like it's only a matter of time before he moves on somewhere.
The quadruple A player is the baseball saying would be.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Jones is not even listed with them. Robertson has, oh no, he has 2 years left and he becomes a restricted free agent.
Who did Zach Jones go to? What team? He's on.
That's a good question. I'll look that one up right now. Like I said, we're going to be cutting this off any second. Zachary Jones, Buffalo
He's in
Sabres.
Buffalo, okay.
Yeah, he signed a 1-year deal with them on July 1st. I just I don't think he's good enough to play at the NHL level in terms of defense. Like the puck moving and the skating is really like, okay, like he can transport the puck out of the zone, but his defensive play in his own zone leaves a lot to be desired. He's small and can't really handle the bigger defensemen. And he's not like Fox where he understands body positioning very well and how to separate and can separate the forwards from the pucks. Like, and I like him. I hoped he would have been something good for the Rangers, but I don't see it. I don't.
Yeah.
It's a 3rd round pick too, so it's not like it's a bad, bad player or bad usage of a pick, but just
get your thought pattern out of that. What level of a pick is more of a guarantee to make the NHL, period? So, I mean, first round, obviously. Second round, obviously. But then you say 3rd round pick, kind of toss it out going, 3rd round pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's all. I mean, at that point, honestly, it's just kind of, hit or miss. Really, you don't know exactly what you're gonna, what you sometimes they don't pan out, sometimes they do. Like Adam Pelech was a 3rd round pick. So every now and then you find a guy that actually turns out to be a good player. But it's far. I would say the chances of a 3rd round pick hitting aren't that high, I would say.
Yeah, there's a significant drop off after round 2.
Yeah.
Like even round 2, and round 2 is a big drop off from round 1.
Oh,
yeah.
So, I mean, you look at.
I think it's gotten a lot better over recent time, though.
I think the part of that is that smaller players are getting chances now.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it. Like, look at Ilya Sorokin, 3rd round pick in 2014. And then his buddy goes to the Rangers in the next round, in the 4th round in the same year. So, I mean, and you have your Lundqvists and your Pavelskis.
Yeah.
Your Gaudreaus.
Bufflins.
I mean,
Brian Elliott was almost Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah. I mean, Henrik Lundqvist was a 7th rounder.
Yeah.
Henrik Zetterberg was a 7th rounder.
Pavel Datsyuk was a 6th rounder.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, can you get somebody in? Can you develop them? That's what it comes down to. So.
And then a guy like Artemi Panarin, not even drafted.
Yeah.
Adam Oates, not drafted.
Yeah.
Marty St. Louis, not drafted, signed by the Calgary Flames, and then shipped out to Tampa Bay, and John Tortorella makes him into an all-world player.
Yeah, that's the craziest one. I mean, for me, like Calgary wasn't willing to give him a chance, and then he goes to Tampa Bay and scores 40 points in his first year there. And you put him with a young core of Cablier, St. Louis. They bring in Dan Boyle from Florida, who was still young at the time. Pavel Kubina was there, young Pavel Kubina. Mm-hmm. And they had pieces, and then you brought in Dave Andreychuk as a leader, and you started cultivating that locker room.
Yeah.
And that was really, like, if you look at that 2002, like, Tampa Bay roster and the pieces that they had, like, they were close to a really good team, a 26-year-old Vinny Prospal. I mean,
Freddie Modine was 27 at that time. They had players that were. Oh, and there was a 21-year-old Sheldon Keefe there.
And let's not forget, Lukowich was on that team, not Matt Pachuk.
Yeah, it was Brad Lukowich who was on the 2014. I
Brad
mean, Matt
Lukowich,
Barnaby was
former New York Ranger Corey Cross.
Corey Cross. Oh God, yeah, and then he went to Edmonton.
I remember Mathieu Darche, Seattle's GM, was a Lightning. Later than that, but he played for the Lightning.
Yeah, he did. He did.
You didn't know that, Marcus Mariota?
Oh, Corey Cross wasn't a part of that Tampa team. He was in Toronto at that time.
Oh, really? All right. I thought he was on that team.
The Rangers got him from the Rangers signed him as a free agent in 2002 and then traded him to Edmonton later on that year.
Yeah, and then after that, he went on to go to Tampa Bay where they won the Cup.
No, he was not in Tampa Bay when they won.
Not in Tampa Bay when they won.
He was on the 04 Oilers. He wasn't on the 04 Lightning.
Although everybody will also tell you that the Calgary Flames really won the Stanley Cup that year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
They didn't. Kunitz was a draft. Kunitz was drafted. Huck. Wasn't he like a first or second round pick? No, he was undrafted. Sorry, he was undrafted. He played at Ferris State and he was undrafted. Anaheim signed him, and then in 05-06. Wait, he's a weird one. Okay, so he goes from Anaheim. He signed as a free agent with Anaheim in April of 03. The Thrashers take him off of waivers from Anaheim in October of 05. And then 2 weeks later, he's put back on waivers by the Thrashers, and the Ducks take him back. And then he ends up having a 41-point year with Anaheim that year, 60 the year after when they win the Stanley Cup, 60 points. And then he's traded for, obviously, Ryan Whitney in the 09 season.
Who's this you were talking about?
Chris Kunitz.
Oh, Chris
Huck
Kunitz.
asked about Chris Kunitz. He turned into a good player. I mean,
He did.
You know what? You got to respect the guys that are undrafted that come out of nowhere and make careers for themselves. Because there's a lot of teams. That means that a lot of teams are looking over them and not giving them chances. And I mean, even Dan Girardi. Listen, Dan Girardi didn't belong anywhere near a top pair. Like, that's not to say that Dan Girardi wasn't a decent NHL. He carved himself out a career where he played 927 games. And if not for the injuries, it would have been more.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have cracked 1,000 games. And if you crack 1,000 games as an undrafted player, you're doing something right.
Yeah. You know who I thought was going to be a real good player back in the day is Stanislav Bistov in Anaheim. He's drafted.
He was a first-round pick, I think, in 2001.
Fifth overall.
Yeah, he was taken high. I remember. So I started following the drafts in 1998, and I remember Ultimate Hockey used to have a magazine, and they used to give you like the drafts and the prospect rankings back then and stuff like that. And that's how I got into and then I found the draft on ESPN in 98. I was like, oh, wow, they took Malhotra. They were talking about how, Malhotra was this great all-around player and like Rangers.
Comparisons to Bob Gainey.
What?
Yeah.
There were comparisons to Bob Gainey.
There were comparisons to Mark Messier too, which I thought was insane. But I was like, you know what? If this guy can come up and be a good two-way player, or be like a big physical guy that scores a bunch of goals, you'd be happy. But that 2001 draft was fun because that Jason Spezza, from what I can remember, was the first prospect that I looked at where I was like, wow, like they were talking about him in a very, very high light. Like they were, I don't want to say next one was used, but
Yeah.
they were talking about him as a guy that had potential to be like a 100-point center at the NHL level.
I know that everybody kills the Islanders for that trade. I have it under good authority of somebody that knew Jason Spezza, him saying that if the Islanders drafted me, I would go back to the draft.
Wait, what?
As foolish as that was to
Say that again, Mark.
He said if the Islanders drafted me, I would go back into the draft.
There was a lot of that back in the day because they were,
But
That's around the time in baseball it happened too. JD Drew.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at that 2001, that his draft year, like the scoring in his draft year was unbelievable. He had 116 points in 56 games. That's really good. That's over 2 points per game.
You know what's funny about Sheestoff is that the year, if you look at his stats, the year before he was drafted, he did not light up Russia at all. So it's surprising how he went 5th overall.
It's not, and I'll tell you why. Back then, and this still kind of goes on to this day, and I think I might have mentioned it in the.
Oh yeah, they shelter their younger players.
They shelter their young players, and they like to kind of hide them a bit, so that teams aren't going and looking for those players. They want to keep them in Russia, and that was more so back then than anything. Like it was worse back then. So like even look at Alex Ovechkin's numbers with Dynamo, like his first year or so. All right. So his first 2 years, 21 games, 4 points, 2 goals. 40 games, 8 goals, 15 points. And then in 03-04 in his draft year, you start to see the increase in production. And then finally his last year, the lockout year, 13 goals and 27 points in 37 games. And I mean, Pavel Datsyuk was second in scoring on that team. Pavel Rosa, who was he was a big time prospect for Los Angeles back in the 90s.
I remember the name. Yeah.
We all thought he was going to be great.
Yeah.
He just never panned out at the NHL level.
You know who I thought was also going to be good? Another Russian, that same draft year, Phil. He went 3rd overall, was Alexander Svedov, Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, yeah. He showed flashes, too. Yeah, he showed flashes. He was – I thought he was going to be very good, too. And he had size and everything. Sheestoff was a smaller player. But Svedov was like 6'3", like 230. And you thought with that young Tampa core – when he came into that, like with LeCavalier and Richards and San Luis, you thought he would have fit right in with those guys, and he just never did.
No.
And then they traded him to Columbus. I was like, okay.
All right, so guys, we kind of had another marathon run right here. It's 3 hours, 17 minutes. I mean, the Rangers one was 4 hours. Amazing on that one. But gonna have to wrap the show up tomorrow. Yeah, we're gonna be do it all again tomorrow night. But yeah, so guys, everybody take it easy because we got a lot that we're gonna have to go over, and yeah, there's gonna be a lot more news and at least games to be talking about. So, and ones that'll be televised. So congratulations, Islander fans, you'll be able to watch tonight. Everybody take it easy. We will see you tomorrow night.